of my parliamentary party to that question. And I accept that answer with good grace. Every decision I've taken has been about putting the country I love first. That is why I will resign as leader of the Labour Party.
Well, you know what? In the end, he did do the right thing, and there were some achievements, and he's an honourable man, and he cared about public service. Guys, that's not what happened just now. In the last half an hour, Keir Starmer resigned, and he resigned because he was pushed. Most of his issues, most of the things which have damned him from, let's face it, within days, within weeks of him becoming Prime Minister back in July 2024, or of his own making. They were things he chose to do, cutting the winter fuel allowance, damning everybody who wanted to have a public inquiry on the grooming gangs as jumping onto the far-right bandwagon, the two-tier policing after the Southport riots. This man brought it on himself. He was not a good Prime Minister.
There was two things on that manifesto. One was a picture of Keir Starmer and the word change. Well, promise made and promise delivered in that sense. Let's be honest. But look, I mean, I don't really want to make light of it, but I am cheesed off, Julia, because what we promised in opposition was competence, and it's been anything but. I'm embarrassed. I'm really, truly, honestly, I am embarrassed, because I did think we would be competent. We've not been.
I've no idea whether there'll be a contest or a coronation. But what I do know is the British public have simply had enough of political parties chopping and changing their leaders at will. We vote for somebody in a general election to be our Prime Minister. We expect them to serve their term. And barring ill health or exceptional circumstances, what is going on here, frankly, is reminiscent of a banana republic that has totally devalued the very process of general elections and democracy. We at Reform demand a general election.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, welcome along. Tuesday the 23rd of June. This is Talk Breakfast, the home, of course, of common sense, and the place where your views on the day's news are more than welcome. I'd like to just nail something straight out. I told everybody I was going to watch my 17-year-old kid, who's an extraordinary golfer, play in a qualifying tournament for the British Open, which, if you're a parent, that's pretty impressive. It was a total lie, ladies and gentlemen. I was at home yesterday because I was traumatised, and I mean traumatised by the fact that this... What did I just say? Petri Hoskins say? Decent man, do me a favour. That duplicitous two-faced failure has finally fallen on his sword. I am so... Have we not got any... Honestly, and I just want to start by saying, right... I watched the speech. Ultimate U-turn for him, wasn't it? Because he said on Friday he wasn't going to resign, and then he did on Monday. Tearful. The most gaslighting speech I've ever heard in my life. You stand there and you say that the economy's stronger, wages have risen. It was the biggest uplift in defence spending, and then small boat crossings have fallen and asylum hotels are closing. Yeah, because everybody's in the streets. And 500,000 people. How could you forget that? 500,000 kids have been lifted out of poverty, probably thanks to breakfast clubs. Just want to say something, because I saw an incredible piece by Harry Cole on Harry Cole Saves the West last night. Look at it online. Don't you remember 2 years ago? The grown-ups are in government. There'll be none of this and none of that. It's about country first and party second. And I watched those tears and I thought, I genuinely mean this. I thought, but you didn't cry for the pensioners when some of them froze to death because you took away your money, their money. You didn't actually cry, did you, for those waspy women who you said will look after you in retirement, and then you completely did a U-turn and screwed them. You didn't actually in any way cry over those farmers who've worked their fingers to the bone, and you hit them with a tax that they can't afford, and people took their own lives because of that. You gave away the Chagos Islands. You thought it intelligent enough to give a bloke whose best friend was the most notorious paedophile in the history of the world as your ambassador to America. Your corruption minister went because she was corrupt. Your transport minister went because she was a known thief. Your homeless minister went because she was a dodgy landlord. But most of all, right, you screw business. You increased national insurance and workers' rights, and businesses in this country went to the hog. Taxation went up. Well, I could sit here forever. You gave away the trade guards. Absolute disgrace. But worst of all, right at the top of my list, from now until the last breath is drawn from me, you thought you'd screw our soldiers. That Troubles bill, that legacy bill that you and Herma did. Utterly disgraceful. Thank you so much indeed for doing all you did in the uniform. But you sit in your little care home and we might come and prosecute you whilst giving immunity to the IRA. The truth is, Keir Starmer, you have been the most... Actually, forget disliked and unpopular. Completely incompetent Prime Minister ever. Without a plan, without an semblance of care or anything. No DNA. Good bloody riddance. Sorry, that's how I feel. Love to know what you see this morning. 0344 499 1000. Text to 87222. Are we playing a bit of the speech then? The bit where he cries? It always makes me feel happy. See you, Keir.
And when I leave the biggest job in the country, I shall spend more time on the most important job. Being the best husband I can to my fantastic wife, Vic, who has been a rock by my side through good times and bad. And being the best dad I can to my beautiful children, who are my pride and my joy.
Well, that's lovely. But let's look at his history. Let's look at a compilation, I should say, of Keir Starmer. Is this his best bits or his worst bits? I think it might be his worst bits. Have a watch.
I call again for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, the return of the sausages. I would like to send my warmest congratulations to President Trump. Of course, I wouldn't want Donald Trump round for dinner. The relationship between our two nations has been one of collaboration. I'm anti-Trump, cooperation. But don't underestimate the danger to the world if Trump is re-elected, and enduring partnership. Never happened before. This is unprecedented. And I think that just symbolises the strength of the relationship between us. I'm delighted that the inspiring Nobel Peace, Nobel Prize winner...
True democracy is citizen-led. We demand a people's house!
This project has always been about fixing the foundations of our country. It must be really incredible to be part of building, I mean, actually here, not just building... Smash the gangs to smash the people smuggling gangs. Could you please join me when I say 5...
That man is not allowed in my pub.
4...
That's assault.
3...
That man is not allowed in my pub.
2...
Get out of my pub. Go on.
1...
Get out of my pub.
Yay! It worked.
You didn't. 8 minutes past 6, 0344 499 1000. JK on breakfast. That's your telephone number. Tommy in the house. Make a call. Who's going to do the first voice note of the day? What have I got? Banana. You can also you can call and you can text 87222. We'll talk Burnham. We'll talk Starmer. We'll talk the World Cup, England, Ghana tonight. We'll talk about the rare red weather warning. I've just driven through what's about the most tropical storm I've ever been in the history of my life. Thought we were going to drown. I turned up in shorts. I should have worn a wetsuit, for Christ's sake. 0344 499 1000. Now, I would just like to say that there will be politicians crowing this morning on the opposite benches. The Messiah, or not, is on the way. Well, he's arrived in Westminster. The deputy chairman of the Tory party, who is a man of the people, has sort of, since he started working the show, just disappeared into sort of... He turned up as a yob in an England football shirt, Matt Vickers. What's happening?
You say man of the people, other people say commoners muck. We're ready for it. We're starting early.
You're excited, aren't you? Where do we start? I mean, before we talk about Burnham, let's start with Starmer, because really, I mean, of course, every Prime Minister cries when they leave the most powerful job. But all those businesses, those pensioners, those waspy women, those service men and women, those farmers, those people who run shops and no police... I mean, he has been an unmitigated disaster, hasn't he?
I mean, it's the end of a dark period for the country, isn't it? This
is it?
Man, every promise that he made Every promise he made, he broke.
Yeah.
This is a guy who leaves office. Taxes at a record high for anybody who's working. Benefits at a record high.
Sorry, he said the economy was stronger.
Taxes at a record high for anyone who's working. Benefits at a record high for anybody who isn't. The number of police in our streets, down. The number of teachers in our schools, down.
Biggest uplift in defence spending.
500,000 businesses have gone to the wall.
Yeah.
1 million young people without education, employment and training. Unemployment, the number of people going to work who now cannot go to work, up 19%. 19% more people without a job, unable to look after their family, unable to live out their aspirations. It has been a horrendous period. We're glad to see the back of it, but now we're going into 3 months of zombie government waiting to see what comes out the other end. That's not good for the country either.
Not at all. And actually, the thing about him is whether I was reading, you know, he's a proceduralist. I was reading all these words, none of which I understand. You know, he's a human rights lawyer, and Hermer's his best mate, and he's very methodical, and he's not the sort of person who. He had, I mean, you can say he had no gumption, but he had no emotion. Nothing apart from yesterday when suddenly the reins of power had slipped away. But I never ever felt that he believed in something. Even if somebody would believe in something to the absolute opposite to what I might think, I might go, well, at least you've got the verve, the desire to show me. Nothing. Absolute sap.
He was the least inspiring person ever to be in number 10, I think.
Do you think?
I just think we sent that abroad to represent our interests. The end result was Chagos.
Yeah, that was
The end result was an absolute destruction of our relationship with the US. That special relationship has been through the ringer. That is what we were projecting to the world. That was Britain. That was our Prime Minister. We're glad to see the back of it.
0344 499 1000, text to 87222. Keith in Nottingham, so you have the day off, Carl, and look what happens. It's the second coming. The only thing missing from the arrival of Burnham arriving in Westminster was a rendition of Ode to Joy, a donkey and palm leaves. Good morning, JK. Sean in Gloucester. Good riddance, Keith Starmer. You will not be missed, but a shame you didn't take the whole goddamn Labour Party with you. Angry Burnham will be no better and probably worse, but I hope he's so cocky that he will win, that he will... Oh, yeah, now, let's just talk about him, OK? Andy Burnham. Now, let's start with a clean piece of paper, because being a patriot, and I mean that, what's been going on leaves me cold. I did a post on Father's Day. My dad's obviously dead, as you know, and I put, I miss you every day, old boy, but my God, would I love to hear what you thought of what's going on. Front page of the Mail, Messiah without a mandate. It starts already. Andy Burnham having won Makerfield. That sent a rocket up number 10. He wins last week with the majority of 9,000. Arrives from Manchester on train where he had sausage roll with brown sauce because it man up people. He arrived in Euston, ready to be sworn in as an MP. We sent Samara Gill. This is brilliant. Have you seen this?
No.
Oh, couldn't find him. Well done, Samara. Samara Gill, morning.
Just go out. Tuck away from us. Moved on. Starmer's old news. On to the next. There we go. That was Andy Burnham. He just drove through there on his way to the palaces of Westminster to be sworn in as an MP, and of course on his route to number 10.
His route to number 10, it would seem, let's do this in stages, is good. Let's start with the swearing in, because I thought this was brilliant. Somebody on the Tory benches shouted, "He's not the Messiah! He's a naughty, naughty boy," which is, of course, from The Life of Brian, the Monty Python. He seemed quite cheery. I'm not that sure about a man with 14 bracelets or bangles, but there we go. This is the swearing in of AB.
Rome is saved.
I swear by Almighty God that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles, his heirs and successors, according to law. So help me God. Naughty boy.
I mean, to be fair, the Tory shouts out he's not the Tsar, and Burnham went, he's a naughty boy. At least, even in that moment, he made me smile. What can we expect if, as people say, it will be a coronation, nobody else will stand? He's obviously bought off Wes Streeting, who I believe will be Chancellor. He's going to have to steer a path, which we'll talk about, but where does he start? On the front foot, the paper's already saying you're going to be the Prime Minister. You know what I'm going to say to you? You're going to be the Prime Minister, and yet you haven't got a mandate from the people. But then your lot did that with Rishi Sunak and John Major.
But it's quite an interesting coup. The guy has come, so there are hundreds of Labour MPs in the House of Commons.
Yeah.
This guy's come from outside of the House of Commons to be elected in a bit of a deal with another MP who stood down, to make way for him to then arrive, and all of a sudden it sounds like he's just going to be getting the keys in 3 months' time. It's quite an interesting thing. He was not even a...
Is that the Conservative argument? And I read this last night, the difference between, say, a Sunak and a John Major is they were elected MPs. This bloke's come from outside to exceed, it seems like there's a to the keys to number 10 without even having been...
I think that's an interest. I think it is a bizarre thing that a guy who was not even an MP a couple of weeks ago is now lined up to become the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. That is a bizarre thing to pull it off. If someone said to you tomorrow, oh, well, what we'll do, somebody will stand down, you'll win in a by-election. The reality is he won that by-election, not because people wanted to vote for Labour, not necessarily because people wanted to vote for Andy Burnham, because they wanted rid of Keir Starmer. There are people who went in there and voted for Andy Burnham literally to get rid of Starmer.
If no one steps forward by July the 16th, Andy Burnham will be our next Prime Minister. That's 7 Prime Ministers in 10 years. What do you know about the man?
Not enough. And what we do know, though, is that he stood for the leadership of the Labour Party twice.
And failed.
And twice the membership of the Labour Party said,
Didn't he lose to Jeremy Corbyn?
Third time lucky.
Right, good morning. The prize, the banana, goes to Pete. Morning, Pete.
Good morning, Jezza. Oh, my God. When Stalin started turning on those waterworks yesterday, right, oh, that made me angry. He hasn't minded making other people cry, has he? What's he crying for? Because he can no longer carry out his project of destroying this country totally. You know, I'm glad that man's gone. Good riddance, good riddance.
Brilliant. Good riddance, good riddance. Matt's in Grimsby. The only thing Pat Starmer believed in and put 100% into was jailing patriotic British people. Good riddance to bad rubbish. Joy in Bedfordshire is absolutely spot on. On listing Starmer's shortcomings, JK, he left out one of the most important, not dealing with the grooming gangs and setting up a national inquiry. Completely agree. Thank you. Jason's in Pompey. Morning, Jace. Jez, 2-tier Keir to 2-year Keir. There is not a single Labour MP in the House up to the top job. So dire are they that they've had to parachute in the King of the North to save us. God help us. To the left, put everything you own in the box to the left. Let's talk about this because I was listening to this in the news this morning. Andy Burnham, let's start with a slate of clean white paper. You don't say that anymore. He is a socialist in its truest terms. They talk about what a great job he's done in Manchester. I've just got a question for you. He said this morning, he's been made it known that he will follow Rachel Reeves's fiscal rules, because there's a lot of argument that, you know, he'll just be left and he'll increase taxes and borrow money and go to IMF. How's he going to deal with the welfare benefit? Is he actually going to face up those Labour MPs? Starmer wanted to cut £5 billion off a £332 billion bill and couldn't get it through. What, Burnham will go stand in front of them and say, I'm taking £50 billion off?
£5 billion. Welfare is going up by £20 billion this year.
Absolutely.
They are going to be spending £20 billion more by the... And the reality is you can change whatever sat at the top of that. This is the same Labour MPs, who opposed that, who put more and more tax on those people who work, who give more and more benefits to those who don't. They are still the same Labour Party. Those people who walked through those lobbies and voted against the inquiry into the grooming gangs, those people who voted to see our veterans dragged through the courts, those people who are keeping taxing businesses into extinction, it's the same crowd. It's just another face at the front. Well, there will be no change.
I'm not going to go into detail, but somebody I know very well said very soon, Matthew Talbot said it actually as well, very soon after Starmer's election victory, he would be gone within 2 years, and people laugh. Well, if you read the front page of the Telegraph today, it says Burnham set for coronation, that the cards seem to have fallen in AB's favour. He will be in trouble by Christmas for the exact reason. I'm not even saying that to cosy up to you because you're right. All those things that need doing with this country, you cannot leave, as Starmer said, going, we have no defence and no way of paying for it. I mean, talk about I thought the beginning of the serious end for him was John Healey saying, hold on a second, mate, you're not even committed to saving this country. Add in all the things that we should have said, grooming gangs, waspy women, farmers, veterans, all of that. So what? After the honeymoon period, what's AB going to do? Is he going to suddenly come up with money for defence? Is he said, I can tell you exactly what he'll do, and people will think I'm cynical. The only way the Labour Party ever pays for all the promises it ever bloody well makes is by raising your taxes. That's what will happen, right?
Well, I mean,
a million percent.
We're talking about following Rachel Reeves.
She didn't look very happy yesterday, did she? She's
the
gone.
one thing you shouldn't do is follow Rachel Reeves anywhere on the economy. When you look at what is happening today, people haven't quite realised those businesses going to the wall. Isn't it something like 111,000 jobs have been lost in hospitality? That's young people getting their first, foot on the ladder, getting their first job, their first opportunity. The economy is in dire straits. And
but he said the economy was stronger.
Not only are they taxing everybody
more... You're shaking your head. That doesn't work on the radio. So
they're taxing and taxing and taxing and borrowing and borrowing and borrowing.
Let's do a David Lammy mastermind. Your name? Your name?
David Lammy.
All right, OK. Is the economy stronger? Have wages risen? Has there been a big uplift in defence spending? Are small boat crossings falling?
We're talking...
It's just unbelievable. It's a gaslighting pile of rubbish, man.
We're talking about breakfast clubs and kids out of poverty.
Clubs.
Actually, what is that? 19% more people unemployed. That's people without a job, people unable to look after their kids because they haven't got any cash coming into the house.
Completely agree.
This is not lifting children out of poverty if you're putting the parents out of work.
Is this a new one, Rob? Yeah? Morning, Rob.
Morning, Jez. Listen to the show. Great as always. Rob, on my way to work. And the other day I heard all them MPs in the Houses of Parliament cheering him when he was sworn in. Every single one of them greedy, snivelling, anti-British, patriot-hating gits sat on them seats. The only reason they were cheering is because they think if he gets in, they're still going to be in a job and they can keep their big fat snouts in that trough a bit longer. Well, all of them people that think he's the solution, they are putting their own personal gain and wealth above the safety and the sovereignty of this nation. This country comes before everything else because without the defence of the realm, guess what? We haven't got anything else. We're done. We're finished. These people are beyond a joke. I mean, the last time Keir Starmer went to that meeting a few days ago, he stood there looking like the bloke that was taking people's coats. People ignore him. He's supposed to be a world leader. Good God, he couldn't lead a donkey. The man's a buffoon. I'm glad he's gone. But guess what? Now we've got an absolute bigger idiot in there. A bloke that he's sort of like, Keir Starmer made a real mess of this in the last 2 years. Hang on, hold my beer.
The morning call from Robbie. He's right, though. And I'm not... People say, oh, no, you're having a go at Andy Burnham. I hope Andy Burnham makes success of it. But I'm telling you here and now, if you've got 400 MPs who will not cut welfare to pay for defence, who will not make the police a police force instead of a club that goes, oh, let's have a chat. If you've got 400 MPs who, to be fair, probably went from Burnham because they think there's a chance that he'll save their jobs, take away the Tory party, take away reform and all restore whatever. This is not going to be the job that Andy Burnham thinks it's going to be, is it? It's going to be hard.
The thing, there's a very valid point there. These people, these Labour MPs, did not move. So when it came down to walking through the voting lobbies to do our farmers over, to do our veterans over, to do our pensioners over...
Won't be forgotten. Completely agree.
But they walked through the lobby and they'd vote for that. They didn't kick off at Starmer. They didn't say, we're not having this guy as Prime Minister. What a bloody mess he's making.
Yeah.
The only time they were willing to act, the only time they were willing to make a stand is when they thought they were losing their jobs. They saw those local election results come in and all of a sudden they had a spine. They only had it to save their jobs. They weren't willing to stand up to this guy when he was trashing our economy
Completely
and destroying
agree.
people's lives.
6:23, the day after Keir, Tear. See what we did there? Tear, he's gone. Very sad to spend more time with his wife. I bet she's chuffed. That'll be exciting. 0344 499 1000. Text to 87222. We'll talk Starmer. We'll talk Burnham. We'll talk football. We'll talk about the furnace that is the weather. But at the moment, it's peeing down in London. Good morning.
What they're ashamed of is the English flag. Scottish flag, fine. Welsh flag, fine. Irish, everything like that's marvellous. But no. We can't be English. And this has been going on for a long, long time.
He would be Prime Minister of the most toxic political brand in the country at the moment, which is Labour. And that is what we will be battling against.
Our Prime Minister is allegedly attacked by another nation and nothing is said.
This is a reminder that Russia regards the United Kingdom as a hostile power.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back to 6:26 Tuesday morning, the day after Thierry Keary said goodbye, and the Messiah from North arrived on the train from Euston, first class, obviously. Anyway, Messiah without a mandate. The papers are already saying, front of the Daily Telegraph, Burnham set for coronation. The Times, Burnham angles for power. Matt Vickers, Deputy Chairman of the Tory party, is here. We're talking about what happens next. Let's just talk about the clamour already for a general election. Morning, Nigel Farage.
Whether there'll be a contest or a coronation. But what I do know is the British public have simply had enough of political parties chopping and changing their leaders at will. We vote for somebody in a general election to be our Prime Minister. We expect them to serve their term. And barring ill health or exceptional circumstances, what is going on here, frankly, is reminiscent of a banana republic that has totally devalued the very process of general elections and democracy. I demand, we at Reform demand, a general election.
The thing is, and this is interesting to ask you, Matt Vickers, Nigel Farage is probably speaking for millions of people there. In fact, I saw a tweet yesterday, I know you played on the show yesterday with Mark, from Angela Rayner saying they've installed the Rishi Sunak, what isn't got a mandate, you need to call an election, this is an absolute disgrace. And they've done exactly the same. I've been very strong on this, whatever the party. I don't believe you should defect as an MP. I've said this repeatedly on the show, and be able to represent people having changed parties. You're going to say to me, from the Tory point of view, Andy Burnham wasn't even an MP. Whether or not it's not his mandate. And surely, in terms of morality, right, if you change direction, which he's going to have to, that demands a fresh yes or no from the British public, doesn't it?
We say that as if this government was sailing in the direction it promised people.
Yeah.
You've actually seen so many everything that was in that Labour manifesto. Tell me one single promise that was made that was kept under Starmer.
Yeah.
Whatever they voted on, whatever the public gave, that mandate was given to the last Labour Prime Minister. He didn't deliver on anything he'd promised anyway.
How could you possibly put Rishi Sunak in, who said during the election campaign, I'm being honest, the leadership campaign, I'm going to increase defence spending to 2.5%. That was not in Boris Johnson or Liz Truss. Well, Boris Johnson's mandate, and it happened twice. Now, I'm going to go at you personally, but in context, for me, the whole thing stinks. He should call an election. Sunak should have called an election.
I think it was right of Sunak to say that we should increase defence spending. There are certain things that happen when you're in office.
He should have called an election.
I think there are certain things that happen when you're in office.
Do you not agree?
I'll come back to you on that point, but I think there are certain things that happen in office that you react to. But that manifesto, that promise on the direction you're taking the country in, people vote for that. If that means protecting pensioners, those big things, those big iconic things that defined what this government did when it said no increase in taxes to working people, yet they put millions of people out of work.
I get all of that, but my point is this. If you are all calling for a general election, Reform, the Tories, Liberal Democrats, whatever, is he still? Yeah, he is. Is that not very reminiscent? It's probably true, but you gave the job to Sunak, the Tories. You gave the job to Liz Truss, and it was Boris Johnson's mandate, and there isn't much difference in that. I think the whole thing is wrong. I'm being honest.
I think there's valid points there. I think there's very, very valid points there. But actually, when it comes down to it, it's not going to happen.
Are you frightened about Burnham in the Tory party?
No, I think... Do you know what? We're glad to see the end of Starmer. I think my worry is that there are a lot of people very excited that Burnham is a good change and a positive thing, and I think their bubble is going to be burst. There's a reason he lost the leadership of the Labour Party twice. He didn't get
and the
elected
direction in which you'll take the country.
It's very easy to be a mayor and do that job. It's very different to be holding the reins of power for the country and making real decisions about what you're doing with. As a mayor, he was giving out money and investing money that had been collected by somebody else, and it's all very positive.
That's what you do as Prime Minister, isn't it?
You make real choices when you're in Parliament. You've got to make choices between who's paying for it and who's getting
any choices.
So I don't see the 403 Labour MPs allowing him to hold a general election. It's not going to happen.
No. OK. Jay, good morning.
Morning, Jez. I've been looking forward to the show all morning. Been on the road a while, Alarm Clock Britain and all that. I just want to say, I'm hoping Andy Burnham, I know he's a lefty, I'm just hoping that he can repair the relationship with the US, because I tell you now, you know, this uncertainty around everything with Russia and everything going on in the world, I think we need our biggest allies back on side. And then if he wants to work some magic and thrash out a deal for the Chagos Islands in exchange for all the money we need militarily, in other words, do a deal with the US, let them buy the islands, nothing to do with us no more, but we get the finances we need, because I don't think Miliband's going to give up his net zero money, which, let's be honest, what's more worrying at the moment? You know, what are solar panels going to do when we've got ballistic missiles flying over our heads? Come on, Ed, wake up.
Interesting. 0344 499 1000. Your text message is 87222. You can call, you can leave a voice note. Maggie in London, I have to admit, I shed a tear. I read the first line, I was slightly worried as Starmer announced his resignation yesterday, but mine were tears of bloody joy. Let the people decide who they want as leader, not another selection by elites. There's the argument. 21,000 people in Wigan have picked the next Prime Minister. That's quite worrying. Jackie, North Yorkshire. Jez, say we have a general election. Would Ding of the North seat have to be voted on again? Wouldn't it be poetic if that was the case? And he lost it within 3 months. There we go. Interesting. Matt. Morning, Jez. Morning, Matt. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. He's gone. Thank God for that. What a total disaster of a Prime Minister. My issue is Burnham. No one knows anything about his policies, but he has no mandate. This is a scandal. If he's PM, he needs to clear out Reeves and all the other horrendous cabinet. I just fear it's going to get worse and quickly. I just pray he has some sense to put the country first. Good morning to Steve. Morning, Jez. So Burnham has security escorts, helicopter surveillance, and hasn't even begun his life as an MP. Yet security for Nigel has been shrunk. Looks like we're still going to be in the two-tier society then, says Steve. Bill in Cheshire, good morning. The resignation, the podium, the deluded speech, the tears, the regrets. I have a few. The removal guys, well, at least they won't need a box for Starmer's achievements. Integrity, vision, personality, nowhere to be seen. Burnham, what the hell could possibly go wrong? Just about bloody everything, says Bill. Paul's already buggered off to Spain. He said over 400 MPs representing Labour in Parliament. They have to bring in a former failed MP to be their saviour. Says it all. Jez, Starmer's gone and we have Burnham or Blair 2.0. The country is in trouble. Richard's in Leicester. Morning, Rich. Keir Starmer's resignation is an illusion of democracy. His exit satisfies public anger, but the system stays intact. New faces, same donors, same policies, same institutional rubbish from voters. Soon the population will finish with this lot, all of them. How could you do a morning without Dave? Dave was devastated. He couldn't even resign without a speech written by somebody else. Today should have been a bank holiday. Happy, happy days. By the way, could I just say, says Dave, what's going to happen to breakfast clubs? My mate Rob in Newcastle, who's paid, I mean, millions of pounds worth of tax, I imagine, in his life, he fancied a bacon sandwich the other morning. This is genuinely true, and he drove all the way around Newcastle looking for a breakfast club, and no, but there weren't any. There weren't any at all. Starmer said in his speech about the country he loved, he didn't actually say it was England. Which one was he talking about? And Bill in Romsey, this is great. Morning, JK, morning, Matt. So Burnham needs 3 months to sort out policy, yeah? Let me help him. Pay the waspy women, close the borders, sort immigration, reverse net zero, cut welfare, cancel charges against servicemen and improve our bloody armed forces. There you are, it took me 12 seconds. Matt Vickers is in the house.
This guy is arriving, no mandate. We don't even know what he's about, really.
Nope.
We know that he's big on failure when he was here before. It's scary. It's scary that we got an unknown entering, having gone through what we've gone through.
Do you know anything about Andy Burnham? Have you met Andy Burnham? And
never met Andy
You're
Burnham.
like nuts as well, aren't you? Can you not go share sausage roll or something with brown sauce on?
It's quite a big place up there, Jess.
Listen,
outside north of Watford, there's quite a bit of the country out there.
Listen, I spent 15 years in Manchester, as you know, and I love the north. I think it'd be very interesting to see what he does. The top team. I noticed in sort of almost precision-like detail, within a second of Starmer resigning, old Wes Streeting had fallen in behind Andy Burnham. I don't think he ever had the 81, by the way, but you could say, if it turns out, he's played a blinder, Wes Streeting, because I think, you can all laugh at me, Wes Streeting will be the next Chancellor.
Well, I'm sure it was just a coincidence that he came out batting for Andy Burnham. The minute it was nothing to do with the fact that I'm sure a call, no call will have been made. There'll be no discussion about what job he was getting on the back of Burnham getting the job. There'll definitely have been some willing and dealing.
So let's look at the cabinet from your point of view as the Tory deputy chairman. Let's start. Rachel Reeves, stay or go?
Go quickly. She should have been gone. She should have been gone 2 years ago.
Absolutely.
The damage she has done is not known yet. We will be recovering from her time as the Chancellor for years to come.
Completely the most incompetent. I mean, hand in hand with Starmer, goodbye. Not even God bless. Go back to an accounts job. Yvette Cooper apparently told Starmer to go. Could have been a last minute. I think she's in trouble as well as Foreign Secretary.
But then again, she was telling him to go, and the fact it was leaked
at the last minute when it was a done deal. That's political, mate.
Yeah, but that might mean there was a done deal. That might mean that she's had assurances about where she's going next, and that might have been why she was on board with getting Starmer out the door.
Shabana Mahmood.
Shabana Mahmood, she's stepping on toes. She's winding some of the lefties up, which is a positive thing. I'm sure she'll stay.
I think she'll stay because that will balance it out for him. I think she'll stay as Home Secretary. I think Wes Streeting will be Chancellor. Lammy, bye! Don't
let the door hit him on the way out.
Yeah. What about Ed Miliband? I mean, there's this talk about... I know. There's all this stuff about he could be Chancellor. This is a man who wants to spend 800 billion, like, net zero rubbish. I mean, he is dangerous. Has Burnham got the balls to stand up to him?
It's terrifying, the thought that he could become the Chancellor.
I don't think it's going to happen.
The most anti-business man. Do you know, we've got... We basically...
You couldn't make him Foreign Secretary, could you? Actually, do you know who I'd... You'll laugh at me. Do you know who I'd make Foreign Secretary? I absolutely would. If I was Andy Burnham, I would make Wes Streeting the Chancellor. I would keep Shabana Mahmood, and you can all laugh at me. I think John Healey would be the perfect Foreign Secretary. Bit of gravitas, bit older, bit more respectful. Stuck the knife in.
Sensible.
Reasonable. I'd prefer John Healey on the international stage than Yvette Cooper or any other mad people. Healey might get that for me. That would be my opinion.
It's quite... You look at some of these players and the thought of some of them getting any more power... I mean, Ed Miliband is the prime example of a man whose hands should be nowhere near power. He should not have the levers on anything.
No.
This guy's there as our energy secretary. He's importing oil and gas from abroad while refusing to drill our own oil and gas.
That's ludicrous.
We're paying the price.
Do you think Burnham will drill, baby, drill?
I think it's just not going to happen. I think they've sold out to Dale Vance and his loony crowd. Like, it's just nuts. Vince.
Dale Vance, that's JD Vince. JD Vance, I'm joking. You've got to spare a thought as well, Simon in Nottingham says, for Larry the cat. He must just go, oh, here we go again. Debbie from Surrey. He didn't cry when those lovely girls in Southport were murdered, or Henry Novak was murdered, or more recently when that gorgeous baby Preston lost his life. He only cried because he's losing the trappings of being Prime Minister. Good riddance. Trevor in Boston. This is brilliant. Starmer waking up this morning saying, I've just had a terrible nightmare. I dreamt I resigned and Andy Burnham took my job. It was terrible. I'm secure. I don't flip-flop. Too late. Did you see his son was there? It wasn't a particularly big crowd of people, but old Hermer, he's gone, isn't he? He's a disgrace. He should never get a job in public life ever again. Sean, good morning.
Morning, Jeremy. Sean from Grimsby here. I listened to the Prime Minister yesterday, and forgive me for having zero sympathy for this clown. Firstly, mate, he shouldn't be sat on national TV almost crying his eyes out. It makes him look pathetic. And secondly, we had to listen to him blowing smoke up his own backside, telling us about all this good stuff that he's done and how good of a leader he's been. Well, if he's been that good, Jeremy, why is his own party forcing him out? Because he's not good. He's the worst Prime Minister ever. Good riddance to bad rubbish, I say. And let's bring on Burnham. We just know what's coming now, mate, don't we? More tax rises and more government spending on crap. Great show, mate.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Oh, welcome back. A very good morning. Tuesday, the 23rd of June, the day you wake up to know that our Prime Minister is no longer going to be Sir Keir Starmer. Hurrah, I hear you saying. But don't worry, man, from up north, Andy Burnham. But it's already caused huge consternation that 400 MPs have parachuted in a man who was, well, failed to be the leader 3 times. Burnham, Messiah without a mandate. Burnham, front page of the Time, angles for power. Front page of the Telegraph. Burnham set for coronation. The Current, brilliant. He thinks it's all over, and it definitely is for Starmer. Can we go back? Matt Vickers is here. Can we go back to, like, ideas of who we think might be in the cabinet? Because what's been really relevant to Andy Burnham, and I've been watching all of this in Manchester, is 3 women. Starting with Lucy Powell, who got sacked, I think, as Culture Secretary by Keir Starmer, fell out, but then became the Deputy Leader of the Labour Party. Is she going to be Deputy Prime Minister? Because what about Ange? Not Postecoglou, Ange Rayner. What's going to happen?
I think Angela Rayner will be back as Deputy Prime Minister. I can see that happening. They seem quite close. They seem on it.
What about Lucy Powell?
Lucy Powell. So she was the Labour Party giving Keir a bloody nose, wasn't she? She was elected as Deputy Leader of the party after he tried to axe her against Bridget Phillipson. I don't know where she'll land.
She might lose her job, which would be the best thing ever, because what she's done for education. But you've got to fit in Rayner, you've got to fit in Powell. And then the extraordinary thing, the woman, Louise Haig, was convicted of fraud by false representation, who lasted 8 months as a government minister. The conviction relates to that incident, I think it was 2013, when she reported being mugged and included her work mobile phone in a list of stolen items to the police. She later discovered the phone had not been taken. Just saying that. She's the one with the pink hair who looked like a right lefty, right, who suddenly reinvented herself. She's got this sort of deep red... I mean, doesn't look red anymore. Looks just like Rachel Reeves with a bob, and she's apparently, and you'll know this, not only run his campaign, but he's running around Westminster thinking about who will get what jobs. Louise Haig, a convicted fraudster, it's starting already.
She's quite resourceful, isn't she? But she seems to have put herself right in the middle of it. I don't know how chummy she was with Andy Burnham before, but to have got in that position where she's right at the centre of him being anointed as the next Prime Minister of the UK probably means she's on the trajectory to get another job.
The other big question is, I think this is a great text from Charles, he's gone that far away because he's gone to Thailand. He says Burnham's first task could be to reinstate Carl Turner. Carl will be on the show later on. That'll be really interesting to see. How do you see the next few weeks and months going? He'll start... I mean, if nobody else stands... Is anybody going to stand against him now?
I think he's got too much momentum now. Look at the newspapers.
Yeah,
they all
it's
think
all
he's
about
coming.
Burnham.
You've got to be pretty ballsy to think you can turn that over. Then again, this guy rocked up, got elected to Parliament and is about to become the Prime Minister. It's a mega coup, isn't it? It's an incredible thing. The guy who is mayor up in Manchester decides...
How has it happened? How have the cards fallen so perfectly?
Because the Labour Party is so desperate. They know they've absolutely destroyed our economy. They know they have the most unpopular Prime Minister ever. They weren't bothered about all of this until the local elections made it very clear that those guys were all going to lose their jobs. They're now desperate for a solution, and they think that this guy is arriving on his white horse to save the day. I'm not quite sure that's how it's going to happen.
I'm totally with you on that. Interestingly, in the Telegraph, page 5, there's a little bit about how the remaining Starmer allies, I'm not sure how many there are urging Darren Jones to run. Right? Can we just point out Darren Jones is the idiot who turned up on Question Time and said, "Listen, be quiet, Mr. Reform person. I've seen all those boats come over, and 90% of them are women and children. I don't think you should bother standing, Darren Jones, because you're patently even more incapable." It is quite interesting to see how bad they all are, isn't it?
There'll be no contest. There will be no contest now. He's got
Andy
so much
Burnham.
momentum.
Now, will he be caught? Now, I thought about this on the loo this morning. I don't know why. Will he go and represent the United Kingdom as Andy, or will he be Andrew? You know, meet our Prime Minister, Andy. How you doing, lad? I mean, it'd be interesting. I don't know.
He'll be Andy. He'll be Brand Andy.
Brandy Andy?
Brandy Andy, yeah. He'll be Brand Andy. Interesting that this is what you think about when you're on the toilet. Such is the state of our politics that...
Do you know the most famous story of me on the toilet?
No.
5 to 8, 7 years ago. Phone goes, ITV, we're axing your show, as Victoria walks through the door and says, "You're having another baby with a pregnancy test." Basically, my... fell out of my arse twice in 1 minute. Damon, good morning.
Morning, Jeremy. Damon from Wigan. Just a question for you. Now, obviously, 2-year Keir is now packing his bags and leaving, so he'll have to resign, and then I assume Andy Burnham's going to take over. But again, for that 40 minutes, it means that Larry the Cat is going to be in charge of the country. Does Larry the Cat get a pension for every time he is Prime Minister? Because if he does, that cat must be worth a fortune.
Honestly, what a fantastic point. So I was saying to Henry, my son, I was saying, driving through Admiralty Arch the other day, or the bit at the end of the Mall. Do you know what happens when a Prime Minister changes? So it's all absolutely timing-wise. So as the Prime Minister drives up the Mall through the big arch, the next person in is in an office over the arch watching them drive up, and then they drive back, and then they're driven at that exact moment. But there is 40 minutes when Larry the Cat is the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom.
Larry could have done a better job than Starmer, I reckon.
Honestly, let me tell you, he wouldn't have been such a pussy, would he, to be fair? 0344, I'm just being honest, 0344 499 1000. Angela, where's Labour's manifesto, Jez? They should be made to fulfil the promises made at the general election. The entire situation is both embarrassing and depressing. Talk. Burnham's first task, yeah, we've done that, is to reinstate Carl Turner. We'll see if that's going to happen. Jez, will Rayner be Foreign Secretary? Starmer would like that. Trump would like that, wouldn't it? Did you see that thing in the news when... The thing about Starmer is he's got 2 problems and then listed 3. He can't even add up, Don Trump. Morning, Jez. Damon. We need a general election now to sort all this out. However, the way democracy is nowadays, the British people will always be left alone and forgotten. Andy Burnham is wrong for the country. More than that, Labour is wrong for the country. 0344 499 1000. So as an overview, before we do the rest of it, from a Tory point of view, joy that he's gone, concern that the bounce might affect the comeback, or what?
I think there may be a bit of a bounce. People might like the idea that something fresh, that there is an end to Starmer. Yeah. Everybody's happy to see the back of it.
Absolutely.
So there's going to be some element of bounce, potentially. I think it's probably a better thing for the country that he's gone, but I'm slightly concerned about we don't know what Burnham's about.
No.
We know that he's a big lefty. Yeah. We know that it probably means more and more tax for people in work.
It will do.
We know it probably means more and more waste. We know it probably means that 20 billion we were talking about increase in welfare spending is probably going to be even higher. We'll see what comes next.
This isn't meant to disrespect anybody, but it is very funny from Clive in Solihull. He says, great show today. Keir Starmer was about as useful as a one-legged man in an arse-kicking party, which is interesting. Good riddance to bad rubbish. Mind you, Burnham could be worse. Tom Stewart, alarm clock Brit in Morpeth in Northumberland, God's country. Can you please ask Matt if the Tories in Parliament will now demand a general election? Yesterday was a good day for the UK. Good riddance. Is that something that the Tories would do?
We're ready to fight a general election when it comes. We'll get stuck in. Whatever a general election outcome is, it's usually lots of mandates and lots of promises. We haven't been getting them thus far. I don't think anything's going to change on that front.
I went to a party last week, and don't tell them that I rang you after a couple of drinks on the way home, but I spent about 20 minutes with your leader and was very impressed. On the back of what happened in tell me Makerfield. You said to me that a lot of people just went to vote Burnham out. Does the Tory party think that that's the beginning of the end of the reform bubble?
People voted Labour in Makerfield to get rid of a Labour Prime Minister. That is just a fact. And actually what happened last week, the big election, the by-election, I went up to Scotland on Wednesday. We didn't just win it. We got nearly 50% of the vote.
That was because of the oil and gas thing, wasn't it?
It was an incredible result. The one thing
it was the first. I mean, it didn't get much publicity, but it was pretty astonishing.
It was a huge. But that's what happens when you talk to the people who are losing their jobs because of this Labour government. More and more people are losing their jobs because of this Labour government. It focuses minds. They need people who are going to look and be responsible with our economy, and that's the decision that the people of Aberdeen made. Interestingly, slight segue. I got to see one thing that united the Scottish people more than anything. So Wednesday night, sat there in Scotland, in a pub, watching the match, and the one thing that brought the Scottish people together was when a goal is scored against England. You've never seen anything quite like it.
Yeah.
That pub, the roof lifted on the pub.
First of all, I'm surprised you're in a pub, but you bring us nicely on in your football shirt tonight. Of course, England fans descend on Boston as the players take on Ghana tonight at 9 p.m. You're a true footy fan, aren't you? Well, Stockton Town United FC.
I'm only in it for the fun and the pints. Stockton Town, the mighty Stockton Town.
Nobody's ever heard of Stockton Town. Stop it,
Well,
man.
They will do as we climb through the various non-professional
from the Dame Edinburgh Average League of 13 somewhere north of Watford. No, listen, England tonight, what do you reckon?
It's going to happen, isn't it? It's going to happen.
No, it's not. We need a defence. 9 o'clock. Or don't forget, everything you need to do with the most extraordinary football tournament in the world on our sister station, talkSPORT. We'll talk more about Ghana, England tonight. Also, I don't mean to be rude. Do you know what today is? I'm surprised that you didn't bounce in here. So excited are we by Starmer's demise and Burnham's coronation. Today, the 23rd of June, is the 10-year anniversary of Brexit. That was our divorce date from the EU. Was it a success? Was it a failure? Is there still love there for the European Union? Have we moved on? Personally, I don't think we ever implemented it as we were promised.
Do you know what? So people seem to think that everyday life was going to change in every way possible. Do you remember the Remainers who said...
Were you a Remainer, were you?
No, I wasn't a Remainer at all. But
so you voted to leave?
I voted to leave, 100%. But those people before that referendum told us that if we left the EU, the sky was going to fall, our economy would implode, we would, the world would end.
Yeah.
Funny enough, 10 years down the line, it hasn't happened.
I was a bit old-fashioned, and I thought, I always say this, and people laugh at me, I was thinking about Germany after the Second World War. They had to retreat to themselves. They built businesses that worked like BMW. They made their people and their country so much more better. I just felt there was so much control from Brussels that it would be a really good chance for Britain to build things and sell things and be independent and be successful. And, of course, that's just not possible. And I will say this, because I said it to his face, I absolutely lay a lot of that at Boris Johnson's door. He had a fantastic mandate and he let down the country and himself.
So
like
we had 2 years of Brexit deadlock where we couldn't get anything across the line. That got resolved. That was a really good thing for this country. You couldn't spend 2 years debating a thing that we'd made a decision on.
That was Dominic Cummings.
It happened. It happened under Boris, under Dom. It happened. We got it there. Actually, if you talk to these lefty Remainers now, they'll all tell you, oh, well, yes, but look, people are out of work, and that is because of decisions made in number 10 and number 11, and that's where those decisions should be made. We can kick those people out at some point when we get that general election, but those decisions should be made by people you can vote for, not made in some far-flung land. And actually, when you look at trade, the opportunities that this has opened up, we're now members of CPTPP.
What the hell does that mean?
It's a huge, huge international trading bloc.
CPTPP, what does that
We've got trade agreements. We've got trade agreements in place with 76 different countries. That is a positive. There are opportunities there. And actually, the next stage is leaving the ECHR, so we can really take back control of our borders. But it's a positive thing, Brexit. It's opportunities that we're...
Do you think Burnham will slide closer to Europe, a.k.a. Keir Starmer, or not?
Well, your guess is as good as mine, because a few months ago he was saying we should rejoin, then he's saying we shouldn't rejoin. He's all over the place. He's Keir Starmer Mark II.
This is interesting. Anonymous, surprised Nigel Farage wants a general election. Reform not ready yet. They should let Andy show in a year's time what a much of a failure he is, because I reckon he'll have more success. Peter said, if Burnham is smart, he will get rid of his whole front bench. They are just toxic and useless. Karen Smith, are we swapping one idiot for another? Nothing will change whilst Labour lead. Rob from WhatsApps for Prime Minister, please. Catherine from Grimsby. Very quickly, before we go, we've talked about Burnham, we've talked about Starmer, we've talked about weather. We haven't talked about weather. A red weather warning for extreme heat has been issued by the Met Office. Temperature set to soar tomorrow and Thursday to 40 degrees in parts of Britain. It will bring us to a standstill. Trains cancelled. Not leaves or rain. This is because the tracks will bend. Schools are being closed. Why are we incapable of ever dealing with anything in this bloody country?
I think you're a bit worse at it down here than we are in the north. People in the north get on with it a little bit more. I remember being down here.
No.
It snowed. The minute it snowed, you shut every tube station.
Next Prime Minister will be northern. He'll like to... No, that's not fair, right?
No, I think
You're
it's true.
10 degrees cooler in the north. My best mate lives in Newcastle. I'm on the coast down south. It was only 20. It's going to be 40 degrees.
A flake of snow touches the ground, they start shutting
Are
tube
you calling
stations.
southern people softy?
Yes.
You northern
ridiculous.
get you.
You feel the grind, but OK, it's a bit hotter down here than it is up north.
It is going to be boiling.
It's going to be a scorcher. People should drink all the water, look after their dogs and then be careful with
And he's going to watch the football and drink a lot of beer. So where are you watching the match tonight?
I haven't quite decided, actually. I'd have preferred to have been at home to watch it. I'm going to get to do that next Saturday. The beer's cheaper, the people are happier. We'll see where I end up tonight.
I'd love to know what people think. So there you have it. Matt Vickers, thank you so much indeed. Deputy Chairman of the Tory Party, responding to the fact that two-tier Keir is no longer there. A tearful resignation speech yesterday. He's going to spend more time with his wife and kids. Lucky them. Replaced by the Messiah with no mandate from the north, Andy Burnham. The papers are screaming out, how can you do it? Well, the Tories did it and Labour seem to have done it. Fact is this, my friends. How's he going to reverse how much of a mess we're in? How is he... the benefits, but he's not going to cut. How's he going to afford the defence money that needs to be spent? I don't know. It's really interesting. If you do want to be part of the debate, as ever on Talk Breakfast, 0344 499 1000. That's our telephone number. You can also leave that all-important voice note. Joanna from Salisbury, fantastic. Starmer. How does Matt feel about Lammy? Oh, not too much. 0344 499 1000. Texts to 87222. The news at 7 on the way. Then Richard Tyson Reform. We say good morning, Jane.
Morning, JK. Never mind Angela Rayner asking for a general election. Take a look at Andy Burnham's old tweets. Oh, wish he could delete those right now.
We've got some breaking news that has just come in. TalkSport have announced a brand new partnership in a developing story. We hear they've created So Good Lager right in time for football's big summer. Just in, we're hearing that So Good Lager will be pouring pints across all O'Neill's pubs and some of the best sports pubs across the UK. With the big kickoff just around the corner, you can find out where to get your hands on a fresh pint of So Good Lager at talksport.com/lager.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
The question my party is asking now is whether I am best placed to lead us into the next general election. I have heard the answer of my parliamentary party to that question, and I accept that answer with good grace. Every decision I've taken has been about putting the country I love first. That is why I will resign as leader of the Labour Party.
Well, you know what? In the end, he did do the right thing, and there were some achievements, and he's an honourable man, and he cared about public service. Guys, that's not what happened just now. In the last half an hour, Keir Starmer resigned, and he resigned because he was pushed. Most of his issues, most of the things which have damned him from, let's face it, within days, within weeks of him becoming Prime Minister back in July 2024, or of his own making. They were things he chose to do, cutting the winter fuel allowance, damning everybody who wanted to have a public inquiry on the grooming gangs as jumping onto the far-right bandwagon, the two-tier policing after the Southport riots. This man brought it on himself. He was not a good Prime Minister.
There was two things on that manifesto. One was a picture of Keir Starmer and the word change. Well, promise made and promise delivered in that sense. Let's be honest. But look, I mean, I don't really want to make light of it, but I am cheesed off, Julia, because what we promised in opposition was competence, and it's been anything but. I'm embarrassed. I'm really, truly, honestly, I am embarrassed, because I did think we would be competent. We've not been.
I've no idea whether there'll be a contest or a coronation. But what I do know is the British public have simply had enough of political parties chopping and changing their leaders at will. We vote for somebody in a general election to be our Prime Minister. We expect them to serve their term. And barring ill health or exceptional circumstances, what is going on here, frankly, is reminiscent of a banana republic that has totally devalued the very process of general elections and democracy. We at Reform demand a general election.
Across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, or welcome along. Just gone 7 o'clock. It is Tuesday, the 23rd of June, and you're waking up, alarm clock Brit, to the news that Keir Starmer is sadly no longer the Prime Minister of this country, in name only. He resigned yesterday. It was a tearful demonstration and real misery. I, of course, wasn't here. I told everybody it was to watch my son try and qualify for the British Open at the age of 17. That's how good he is. That was a lie. I just couldn't handle the emotion. I'm joking. Imagine being off for the one day. But actually, I have to say this. What a pitiful gaslighting load of rubbish I watched come out of his mouth. Let's just use a little segment of Keir Starmer's resignation speech yesterday, gaslighting to its best. Have a listen.
The question my party is asking now is whether I am best placed to lead us into the next general election. I have heard the answer of my parliamentary party to that question, and I accept that answer with good grace. Every decision I've taken has been about putting the country I love first. That is why I will resign as leader of the Labour Party.
Sorry, every decision you've taken has been for the benefit of the people and the country you love the most. Well, I'm just going to do it again, as I did at 6 o'clock. Try telling that, Keir Starmer, to the pensioners you screwed to the ground, or the waspy women you lied to, or the farmers whose livelihoods you destroyed and some who took their lives. Try selling that to our servicemen and women who put the uniform on and fought for this country and faced prosecution whilst you give, what, immunity to the IRA. Try telling that to our servicemen and women because you refused to spend extra money because you were too busy, right, wiping the backside of the feckless while our benefits bill went through the door. Let's talk about America, the Chagos Islands. Let's talk about the fact that your judgment was so goddamn appalling, right, that your idea was to make our ambassador to America the best friend of one of the worst paedophiles in history. You didn't have the nous, you didn't have a plan, you didn't have anything about you, man, and you got found out. We'll talk about what's to come next, but I'm going to do it every hour. This, ladies and gentlemen, sums up 23 months under one, well, I have to say, probably the worst Prime Minister in the history of Prime Ministers. Take it away.
I call again for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, the return of the sausages. I would like to send my warmest congratulations to President Trump. Of course, I wouldn't want Donald Trump round for dinner. The relationship between our two nations has been one of collaboration. I'm anti-Trump, cooperation. But don't underestimate the danger to the world if Trump is re-elected, and enduring partnership. Never happened before. This is unprecedented. I think that just symbolises the strength of the relationship between us. I'm delighted that the inspiring Nobel Peace, Nobel Prize winner.
True democracy is citizen-led. We demand a people's house!
This project has always been about fixing the foundations of our country. It must be really incredible to be part of building, I mean, actually here, not just building. Smash the gangs to smash the people smuggling gangs. Could you please join me when I say 5?
That man is not allowed in my pub.
4.
That's assault.
3.
That man is not allowed in my pub.
2.
Get out of my pub. Go on.
1.
Get out of my pub.
Yay! It worked.
You didn't. Morning, Steve.
Morning, Jezza. Steve in sunny Southport. I just wondered if you could throw a bit of light onto something that I've been curious about for many, many years. You've got the cabinet members that are doing a particular job, i.e., let's go back to the Tory days when Shapsy was running the job. And he pretty much did grant Shaps every department. Now, I'm a taxi driver, and I couldn't walk into a chartered accountant's job tomorrow. So when you're talking about the likes of Wes Streeting, who was the health secretary, being the chancellor, I'm just wondered how he's qualified to go from medicine to working with numbers. Cheers, buddy. You can throw some light onto that. That'd be cool. Have a great day.
I've got no idea. I think it's a very salient point. Let's put it to the deputy leader of Reform UK. Is he crowing or is he depressed? Richard Tice, good morning.
Good morning, Jeremy. And how exciting. I mean, it's done. He's gone.
It's a weird feeling, isn't it? That there's been a few of us who have spent 2 years saying that this man is both out of his depth, has no plan, has no political antennae, and I've listed it till I'm blue in the face this morning.
It's a great collage you've put together there, just to remind us how bad Starmer was, and for him to stand in front of Downing Street listing a huge collection of the sort of Starmer's greatest hits, you then say, well, in which case, why are you going? Why are you so unpopular with the country and with your own Labour Party? Something didn't quite compute. He seemed to forget all of the things that you listed off and much more besides. But in a sense, politics moves very, very quickly. And whilst we celebrate his removal, we actually need to think about, so what happens now? And let me tell you what is happening now. There is a coup going on, literally a coup, because no one knows who Andy Burnham is. Let me put this to you. 7 million voters didn't have the right to vote when Andy Burnham was last in the Houses of Parliament. 7 million people. Nobody outside Greater Manchester knows who this bloke is. Andy who? Who Burnham? What's he? What does he stand for? Is he king of the North or is he king of the U-turn? I mean, he's done more U-turns than Keir Starmer, for heaven's sake. He is literally Captain Flip-Flop. And I mean, maybe you just say that that's in their nature. Does he want to join the EU or not? Does he want to pay the waspy women or not? Does he want men to go into women's bathrooms or not? And the list goes on. Does he want to stop the boats? If so, how? Has he ever spoken about the economy? No. Has he ever spoken about foreign policy? No. Has he ever spoken about defence policy? No. We've not a clue who this man is that is going to rock up and demand the keys to number 10. It is literally a coup in the mother of all democracies. It's an outrage. And this is the same
Is
bloke
it, Richard? Is it?
Hang on. No, this is a bloke who professes to be full of integrity and principle and consistency. Have you shown the tweets, the multiple tweets from 2022 when he was calling general election now, when the Tories were changing their leader?
Well, I was going to say, you know, hold on a sec, you know this of me. I have maintained this, and I've said it to every political party. I do not believe you can defect as an MP. I've said it to your face, and I certainly don't think, right? And the Tories did it with Liz Truss, they did it with Rishi Sunak, and now they're jumping up and down, as you all are, about this. I do not believe if you replace a person, I know it's not a presidential system, all the people look at me and they go, oh, it's not a... The fact of the matter is the figurehead of a party, there's Andy Burnham's tweet, we need to start demanding a general election into this Tory leadership election. They were all elected on a manifesto promise to level up the North and are all abandoning it. There are Tories, of course, this morning, and I'd love Reform's take on this, who are saying, but there's a massive difference. There's a massive difference because the people that took over were already MPs. This man's been parachuted in. It's a complete coup. You've used the words, and he's going to get the seat to number 10. You know me, I'm straight with you. You're Reform rattled by Andy Burnham, Richard Tice?
Far from it. We're delighted at the prospect of a general election. That's why we're calling for it. And we will be ready for it. As soon as he's installed, what's going to happen is he's going to be installed on the 16th or 17th of July, it seems.
Yeah.
He's then going to do a sort of waffly, vacuous tour around the country saying, look at me, I'm the new Messiah, brackets, he's not, close brackets, for about 4 or 5 weeks. And then he's got some serious governing to do when Parliament sits.
Let's talk about that, because first of all, let's talk about two things, if it's all right. Let's talk about the build-up of his new team, and then let's talk about the specifics of policy. I mean, Andy Burnham, talk about a coup, you were right. He'd had photos with 400, they're all looking happy, except for Rachel Thieve. She wasn't looking very happy, because she's going to be toast, isn't she? But what was really interesting was, Wes Streeting, within 7 milliseconds of Keir Starmer resigning, came out, I'm rowing behind, and patently they're all looking for jobs. So I'm going to do a little test with you, because I was doing it earlier. See if we agree. Shabana Mahmood, does she stay or does she go?
I think she stays.
Yeah, we're agreed. Yvette Cooper, stay or go?
She goes.
Who do you think becomes Foreign Secretary? You'll think I'm mad. I think the only person with any respect is John Healey.
Well, unless John Healey becomes Chancellor, you see, he's got a major problem with the markets. There's no way he's going to put Miliband into Chancellorship. No. He'll put Miliband into housing and local government.
Streeting to Chancellor, that's the rumour.
Let's see. Healey, and clearly Healey could do Foreign Secretary. It'll be one of those two, but I'm not sure Streeting has got the gravitas to convince the markets around the Chancellorship. But look, frankly, it's all immaterial, Jeremy. You are pushing pawns around the board of a coup. That is what is going on. It's outrageous. I come back to this simple point. And while you talk about the Tories, actually, the Tories are not calling for a general election unless he doesn't fund the defence investment plan properly. Well, I mean, that's basically the Tories saying, we're not ready for an election. And if there was an election, our number of MPs would probably go down. So they're frit as well. The Lib Dems have disappeared down the same submarine as the Green Party. No one's seen or heard hide nor hair for them. And yeah, it's us that wants a general election. Frankly, there's only 2 parties in it. And I just think that, you see, here's what's going to happen. If he doesn't call a general election, then we're going to career towards a November budget, by which time the finances will be worse. He's got his hard socialist sort of plans, and the economy is getting worse, so he's going to have to raise taxes by huge amounts, and by Christmas he's going to be as unpopular as Keir Starmer.
Well, I said that earlier, and this is what I wanted to get on to you about, and I wrote this down very, very early on. obviously, you know, he's being seen as the Messiah, and that's what the Labour Party are doing, and that's fine. We've got past talking about how it happened. If you look at the major issues in this country and you think about the febrile nature amongst those 403 Labour MPs, there's only one way that we can afford to arm ourselves better and get rid of the situation we're in, which is if we do something about a soaring and completely outrageous benefits bill. Keir Starmer, the benefits bill's 332 billion, Richard Tice. He couldn't even get through a 5 billion cut. Are you telling me that those Labour MPs have got, oh, Andy, you're the Messiah, cut it by 50 billion? Absolutely won't happen. So where's he going to get the money from? We know, because he's a socialist. They will either print money or raise taxes. And I'm with you. I don't see how he can get round this, mate. I really don't.
Well, I don't think the markets will let him print money without a serious plan, either to cut spending or to raise taxes heavily. And I just don't think they have it in them to do the spending cuts that can easily be done.
Yeah.
You could take 20 to 30 billion pounds out of the welfare bill in a 12-month period without much difficulty. You don't need to pay benefits to overseas nationals. Full stop. You don't need to pay benefits to a whole load of people who've got anxiety. I've got anxiety at the moment. I'm anxious that this country is undergoing a coup. That makes me anxious.
I thought you were anxious about the. I thought you were anxious about the wedding plans.
Now I'm looking forward to the wedding plans. That makes me joyous and happy, Jeremy.
I'm with you, though. I'm with you. I honestly don't see, and I'm not being disrespectful to Andy Burnham, I don't see any Labour Prime Minister of any age or whatever standing up to those backbenchers and saying, we need to do something about this bloated benefits bill. I mean, it is not picture, unfair. It is a fact, right?
That picture is so sycophantic. It really makes me puke, frankly. Oh. Just fawning over this bloke who no one knows who he is. What does he stand for? Captain Flip-Flop. I mean, you know, this is a bloke who wants to rejoin the European Union in his lifetime. And when it comes to tax raising, I mean, that's their only other alternative. Well, no one voted in the manifesto for ever more tax hikes. We've already had more tax hikes than they promised in the manifesto. Look where that's taken us. We've got effectively almost no growth whatsoever. And, you know, businesses are not hiring young people. That's the whole thing is a catastrophe, and it's like a sort of train steaming towards us. Do you think
anybody will stand up to him, or do you think it'll be a straight coronation, Rich?
So I think what's going to happen is that they may create a fake contest,
right,
around a sort of patsy non-entity called Darren Jones that nobody's ever heard of.
Oh, I did. He's the one who thinks that men look like women with kids on boats coming over illegally.
Oh yeah, he's that bloke. So if they have that contest, what that will do is that will give Andy Burnham the chance to prance around the country, try to legitimise himself, and give him more time to get ready, because he's clearly not ready, by the way. You know, he's had literally years to think about this, think about what his plans are and ideas are if he takes over the country. Well, now he's sort of on the cusp of that moment, and he's all over the place. I mean, he's floundering because he's basically got splinters in his backside that he's trying to pick out from all the various...
You sounded like me this morning, Tice. You're the man of the comment this morning. Very quickly, couple of things. Great to have you on. Do you know what today is?
I do. It's the 10th anniversary of Freedom Day. It's the 10th anniversary of taking back control, being in charge.
Didn't happen, did it? Didn't happen, did it?
Well, no, actually, to be fair, we are now legally free of the European Union. But what didn't happen was taking advantage of that great opportunity, deregulating, and driving ourselves forward as a separate economy. And that's because of the wibbly-wobbly, Lib Demish, soggy Tories who basically betrayed us all. And then under Starmer's government, they're trying to take us ever closer to a failing economic model.
What does Andy Burnham going to do? Does Andy Burnham want to rejoin the EU or not? I'm a bit confused.
Well, I think the whole country's confused because just last autumn he said he wanted to rejoin the EU. Then he told the good folk of Makerfield that he didn't want to rejoin the EU. What's he going to tell the country? I mean,
he might or might not join the EU, I suspect. That'd be a bit of fence-sitting,
Maybe he wants to sit in a boat in the middle of the channel. I don't know.
No, don't start being nasty, because it's a very dangerous crossing. Richard Tice, the other thing is, because we know you don't drink, I was at that party with you the other night, and there wasn't one drink, ladies and gentlemen, that passed this man's lips. This is how good he is. England fans are setting on Boston tonight. England-Ghana, second world group game for us, 9 p.m. tonight. You're a massive football fan. Where will you be watching it? What will you be drinking? And what's your score prediction, Richard Tice?
So, in reverse order, my score prediction is 3-1. I'm a bit anxious about our defence.
Oh, you need to sign on then. You need to sign on if you're anxious about the defence. Come on, give us some benefits.
I will probably, I might be drinking a little bit of wine, and I will be in the centre of London.
Look at, he's so dodgy. In my club,
I'm not
probably.
Dodgy. What do you mean? Outrageous accusation.
Well, it sounds like it. I'll be in the centre of London. Where? Soho, Mayfair. I mean, it could be anywhere, Richard Tice, couldn't it? You're a good man.
It could well be a pub, Jeremy.
Yeah. Just to finish, Andy Burnham will be the next Prime Minister. But people need to remember that that's just a man. The Labour Party is the reason that this country's on its backside. And Starmer had no antennae, but the Labour Party and what's happened is down to the Labour Party, right?
Completely. And these people that are going to take over in this coup are hard socialists. And they believe in taxing people to the hilt. Let's just remember that text from Pat McFadden. All the MPs ask him is, who can we tax more so that we can pay more in benefits? Never forget, that is the core of this parliamentary Labour Party. And Andy Burnham is walking in to that ethos, that mindset, that basic gut instinct of all of those Labour MPs.
Well, this is not pro-reform, pro-Tory, pro-Liberal Democrat, pro-Greens. This is a fact, what I'm going to say at 60, older than Richard Tice. Every single Labour government in my lifetime, when push comes to shove, whether it's giving their union mates pay rises or promising the earth, they can only do it one of two ways. They either raise your taxes, ladies and gentlemen, or they borrow money and bankrupt the country. Everybody remembers Liam Byrne, who said there's no money left. That is not an over-exaggeration. There has never been fiscal responsibility in any Labour government, and the last 2 years have shown us that. Now, maybe we're wrong. Maybe Burnham walks in with a magic money tree, but he won't, because they're all cut from the same bloody cloth, aren't they, Richard?
There isn't a magic money tree, and crikey, when Liam Byrne wrote that note, I mean, there was a lot more money in the till then than there is now.
Yeah.
That's the reality, because the percentage of borrowed money, government debt to the size of the economy is effectively 1-to-1 now. We are leveraged to the hilt, and far, far worse than 16 years ago when Liam Byrne wrote that note.
Apparently I've got to finish. You've got to listen to this because you'll like it. Voice note from Andrew. Good morning, Andrew.
Morning, Jezza. Andrew here. I actually think Andy Burnham's got quite a straightforward job. All he's got to do is make sure that the unemployment rate doesn't go up nearly 20%, debt interest doesn't skyrocket, billions of tax revenue doesn't get lost due to high-end businesses leaving the UK. He doesn't accept free glasses, suits, football match and concert tickets, stay around Lord Ali's house, have a tax-dodging deputy, U-turn on just about everything, lie about rejoining the EU, almost give away overseas territories and make us pay for it, give millions to his human rights lawyer mates, freeze pensioners, raise tax, not smash the gangs, call women in pink T-shirts waving Britain flags far right, lock people up for sending tweets and ignore grooming gang inquiries. When the bar is that low that free school meals is the only hurdle, I'd say he'll be fine. But I suspect he could be worse.
How good's that, Richard Tice? It's just
absolutely priceless. Give that man a job. That's absolutely brilliant.
Good man. Listen, as ever, we thank you.
Nice
And what happened to the sign? Why are you in... You look like... What's happened to the reform sign today? Are you somewhere else?
Yes, I am somewhere else, actually. I'm at a different broadcaster's studio, if you really want to know, but you'll be upset if I told you.
Get off my screen, Tice, man. No, thank you, my friend. Deputy Leader of Reform, Richard Tice. Quick exit before he starts. 7:23, we're live across the UK. Tuesday, the 23rd of June. 10 years ago, we got out of Brexit, and 24 hours ago, we got out of Keir Starmer, the anointed one. That's how he's being portrayed. Andy Burnham came from Mayor of Manchester, got a seat, got elected, and triumphantly arrived in Westminster yesterday. Messiah without a mandate already. Every party's going, hold on a minute, mate. If you're going to go to the left and change what Starmer he got elected for, you need to hold a general election. Nigel Farage wants a general election. The Liberal Democrats want a general election. Haven't seen Dave Polanski for a while. Apparently he's taken his narrowboat away. No, I'm joking. Anyway, back into this. Is that another one, or is that... No, it's not. Right, we're going to an ad break, my friends. Back in 3. Thanks.
What they're ashamed of is the English flag. Scottish flag, fine. Welsh flag, fine. Irish, everything like that's marvellous. But no. We can't be English. And this has been going on for a long, long time.
He would be Prime Minister of the most toxic political brand in the country at the moment, which is Labour. And that is what we will be battling against.
Our Prime Minister is allegedly attacked by another nation and nothing is said.
This is a reminder that Russia regards the United Kingdom as a hostile power.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
My friends, welcome back to 7:26. Just to let you know, the leader of Reform, Nigel Farage, will be live with Julia Hartley-Brewer this morning after 10 o'clock. She is here, as ever, from 10, Monday to Thursday. Ian Collins from 1 and Kev O'Sullivan with your drive home from 4 o'clock this afternoon. Dennis, good morning.
Nobody seems to have picked up on the fact that in his speech yesterday, Starmer said, I have heard the answer from my parliamentary party, when he's talking about leading the country into the next election. Has he not heard the chants from hundreds of thousands of football supporters in stadiums all over the country for months? When you hear that all the time for a while, you've seriously overstayed your welcome. Who is it? Why was he not listening to that?
I don't know what she's talking... What is she talking about? I don't know what she's talking about. Oh, right, OK, fair enough. 7:28, we're live across the United Kingdom. Yesterday, of course, Keir Starmer tearfully resigning. You can see the pictures there on YouTube. A dwindling band of supporters out to listen to him. He got upset. To tear. See what we did there, Keir? But listen... No sympathy on this show. I thought it was gaslighting. I just thought there was no part of it that, to me, addressed waspy women or pensioners or the armed forces or soldiers or the Chagos Islands or, you know... What did he say? Asylum hotels are closing. Yeah, and we're just allowing these people to run around the town and attack people. Small boat crossings are falling, you liar. No, they're not. Biggest uplift in defence. Your defence secretary resigned 10 days ago saying that you didn't want to protect the nation. Wages have risen. No. Workers' rights have and businesses have closed. The economy's stronger. No, it's not. And I'm not supporting the Tories. It absolutely isn't stronger. 0344 499 1000. Hey-ho, says Richard. Starmer resigns and is rewarded for his failure with a lifetime pension as an ex-MP, Prime Minister of 115 grand per year. I actually don't want to upset you. I think it's actually 160. I do. I think, is it taxable? Probably. Russ Coleman, he used to be on the radio. Burnham being bumped up like this is the equivalent to putting the office manager straight into the CEO's office without an interview. Scary as hell. Has brought forward my escape plans to get out of this pathetic, crumbling mess by a year. The house goes on the market next week. Another chunk of tax walking out of the room. Good work, leftist, says Ruz in Bedford. This is brilliant. Scottish. 19 seconds in Southport laying a wreath, no tears. No tears for British farmers who committed suicide. No tears for pensioners. No tears for struggling small businesses. No tears for betrayed British veterans. No tears for the victims of illegal migrants. No tears for Henry Novak. Tears only for himself. Good riddance to bad rubbish. 7:29. We'll say a very good morning to a man who stood up to Keir Starmer long before anybody in the Labour benches and was met with being disqualified and thrown out the party, the independent MP for Hull East. Carl Turner, good morning. How are you?
I'm very well indeed, Jeremy. Good morning to you.
Wow.
Happier as a result of the Prime Minister finally doing the right thing and resigning. But to be honest with you, physically, virtually dragged out at number 10. That's the reality. Dragged out, kicking and screaming.
Extraordinary speech. It was gaslighting at its greatest, I thought. I mean, you were a Labour MP, you're a Labour supporter. And I'm not just saying this, because I've said to you before that I wanted, after the debacle of the Tories, I wanted the next government to rebuild my country. Can you think of a more unimpressive tenure than the 23 months under Sir Keir Starmer?
There's been one or two things that I can point to, which is sort of wins, semi-successes, but it's fairly minuscule. It's been chaotic, hasn't it? That's just how it is. It's no good pretending it's anything else. It's been utter chaos. It's been more chaotic than the previous Tory government under Boris Johnson and Liz Truss, very probably, put together. It's embarrassing. And standing on the steps of that, I've no sympathy, honestly. I don't sympathise with prime ministers, whichever political persuasion, standing on the steps of Downing Street, having been booted out of office by whether it's the party that they represent or the country, having a little cry about it. Pathetic.
I couldn't agree more. So just on a serious note, because they all cry, did you send him a bye-bye thanks for a great job, or did you send him one saying, do one, mate?
I'd messaged him a couple of days prior saying what I thought, which is you've got to do the right thing and call it a day.
Yeah. I'm interested in now, this is where we'll disagree, but not in a bad way. I want to talk now about the future. We've talked incessantly about Starmer. Harry Cole's coming up next. There was an incredible piece on his show that he did last night, just about everything that, he promised and actually he's failed dismally. We can all talk about not being right for the job, not having a plan. It's unbelievable. Let's talk about the future. Of course, OK, and I just want to say this, the voices are jumping out already saying, front page of the Mail, Messiah without a mandate, Andy Burnham, if he walks into this coronation, as seems right that it's going to happen, Streeting's rode in behind, etc., etc. But the Tories did it with Truss, the Tories did it with Sunak. I have always said, and I've said it to you, I do not believe that we have a presidential style of politics, but I do not believe anymore the British people will buy somebody coming in and going against whatever that manifesto and that mandate was. And I think the clamour for a general election will only intensify. That is just me being completely honest. That's nothing against Andy Burnham. I don't know Andy Burnham. The Tories' argument this morning, which is really interesting, is yes, but the difference between there he is, an Andy Burnham tweet. We need to start demanding a general election at the end of this Tory leadership election. They were all elected on a manifesto, promised to level up the north, and are all abandoning it. So there's history, but the Tories this morning are saying, the difference with Burnham is he wasn't an MP. They've parachuted him in this bloody Labour Party as the Messiah, and he's got no mandate. Where are you on this, Carl?
Well, I think, look, I was doing plenty of that, by the way, shouting and bawling, saying that there had to be an election because this Prime Minister or that Prime Minister had been forced out and there was no mandate for the incoming Prime Minister. Of course we do all that nonsense. But actually, there is no reason. There is no reason when you do have a majority in Parliament. If you're struggling to govern, like Theresa May was, there was an argument to say you have to go to the country. And eventually, of course, she did and nearly lost. She made a position worse. But there is no reason that when you've got a thumping majority, providing, Jeremy...
Well, it's not Burnham's majority, though, is it?
Well, it's the Labour Party, because we don't elect the leader as the Prime Minister, do we? We elect the leader representing the political party that we vote for.
Is Andy Burnham the right man? Is Andy Burnham the right man for you?
Well, I hope so, because we need a leader and a Prime Minister in the country. And whatever political wing you're on, I think we're desperate for the country to be governed properly. It hasn't been for the last couple of years. It's not been for the last 16 years.
But here's my issue, right? Here's my issue, and this is what I want to say to you. The one glaring problem that any Labour Prime Minister has, we can get past Starmer with no plan and no balls and all that, and say Burnham is the man. The facts are, very carefully, if you lay them out, forget about black holes and forget about broken promises, right? The only way we can defend this nation, the only way we can improve public services, and the only way we are going to end up not raising more taxes and not going hand on bended knee to the IMF, you know it and I know it, as does every Labour MP, which is to cut our bloated benefits bill. But I'm just putting this to you. Keir Starmer might have had no personality. He couldn't even get a $5 billion cut out of $332 billion. How the hell is Andy Burnham going to do that? Will that goodwill in that photo allow him to say, guys, we've got to save $50 billion? They're not all anxious. They're not all mentally ill. They're not all disabled. There's people gaming the system, because you and I know that goes against the very ethos of what the Labour Party is about.
Well, it does. But there's a way of managing the Parliamentary Labour Party, which, frankly, the previous leader couldn't do. He didn't have a clue how to manage people. He didn't understand politics, bless his corns. He was a manager. He was a former director of public prosecution. Look, I'm to blame because I was wedded to the idea that this guy was the answer. There was a time when I thought he was the messiah. I thought he was the left-wing version of Tony Blair, somebody who was capable of doing the job, but shared my politics. It wasn't true at all. He didn't have any politics. So when you go into a Parliamentary Labour Party meeting and you say, this is happening, if you don't like it, you know where the door is, they get a bit of a revolt to that. And that's what was happening. And the other stuff that people don't see is the vicious nastiness of it all. This Max Sweeney fella running the operation in Number 10, briefing against that minister or this woman.
But that's been historic. I'm not sticking up for Morgan McSweeney. I met him at that party. They're like very small. That happens politically a lot. What I'm saying to you is, as Andy Burnham's honeymoon, or does Andy Burnham's ability as a politician, because there's a difference between being mayor and being, you know, the man that runs the country, has he got the gonads to stand up and say to the Parliamentary Labour Party, however nice he puts it, the only way we're out this mess is by cutting benefits? Because I and many cynics would say, and I could be proven wrong, Carl, he's not going to be able to get that passed, however great he is. But are they that desperate that they'll listen to him? I don't know.
I think there'll be better discipline because people will be wanting to go with the new leader on the basis that they look at him and think they can win. Right, can you imagine the scenario, look? If I'm looking at my polling in East Hull and it's inevitable that Farage is going to come and slam a candidate in who's going to absolutely annihilate me at the next election, and then I've been told to do something I think is a crap idea, what am I going to do? I'm going to revolt. I'm going to say, no, thank you very much. But when you're looking at your polling and you're thinking, hang on a minute, with this geezer, I've got a chance. Let me just let him do what he thinks he needs to do.
Was the bounce in Makerfield Andy Burnham, or was it a man taking on reform which sent a message to the Labour Party is that I can actually do this?
I think it was a mixture of things. I think it was the fact that Andy Burnham is different to a lot of politicians, is seen as different by the electorate. I think he is popular, I do. I think he is. And I think people were voting to kick Starmer out as well. I mean, just a few weeks prior, there'd been an election campaign by Reform where they won every single ward in that constituency.
Yeah, absolutely.
When the message was, vote for the Reform Party to kick out Starmer. People were still thinking about that when they went to the ballot box to vote for Andy Burnham to kick out Starmer. So there was a bit of that as well, I think. But actually, I think he genuinely is a bit different. I think he's got that sort of Boris thing. that charisma. He can look, the guy. You can go in a pub with a guy and have a pint and be genuinely interested in what he's got to say.
Right, final question, because time is money and we love having you on, and I mean that. Will he reinstate you? Have you spoken to him? Will you rejoin the Labour Party under Andy Burnham?
I've been speaking to him for months, and yeah, he will. He's told me directly. I've not asked, by the way, because I don't kowtow to anybody. That's the reality.
He's told you that he will reinstate you?
He has told me directly, absolutely, immediately, he will reinstate me. And they don't like it much. Some of these people walking around Parliament with big belly lips. I suspect the Chief Whip's crying about it, Jeremy.
Yeah. But he might not be the chief. He might not be the Chief Whip for too much longer.
Well, that's a matter for Burnham with your points. But, you know, people will be upset about it. But I'll be back in within minutes, and we'll have to see how we get on.
And is there any truth in the rumour that you could be the next Chancellor of the Exchequer, Carl Turner? He's laughing. Brilliant.
Absolutely none whatsoever. Genuinely none. I couldn't... Do you know what, Jeremy? I'm not even that fussed about a job. I don't really want a job in government. I don't, honestly.
You believe in what you believe in, and you stood up. And whether we agree or disagree, that is a really powerful thing, mate. And let's hope it all resolves itself. It's going to be interesting, but we appreciate you always, Carl. Let us know. God bless. Thank you very much indeed. Talk Breakfast, 20 to 8. Morning, Rob.
Morning, Jez. 10 years since Brexit. 10 years ago, when the people of this country came together and from nowhere voted in the masses, the biggest ever vote this country had ever seen, to leave Europe. And then everybody who came along since then, including Johnson and the Conservative Party, did nothing to do the job properly. The job was never done properly. But then they've both said that we're the fastest growing economy in the G7. Well, we can't be failing and be the best, can we? If we're not in Europe, it doesn't make any sense, because none of it ever did, because they never told with the truth. Free movement of people was the reason that people voted for Brexit. You could have run it on that policy alone, and look what happened. Biggest vote ever, people. So now, if we get a chance in the next vote, I hope those people come out again. Because what's just happened yesterday, by taking a man who wasn't even an MP, finding him a safe seat, and letting him step into the hot seat with no mandate from the British people, is madness. There should be a general election. If he fancies himself that much as King of the North, that's what should happen. But let's wait and see. But remember, that vote happened then and nobody believed it could. Let's turn this around and give him somebody fresh a go, and let that be Nigel Farage.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, sorry, honestly, sometimes if you could see what goes on behind the scenes. Welcome back, Talk Breakfast, the home of common sense and the home of the alarm clock. This is JK until 10. Thanks for tuning in the day after Keir Starmer tearfully resigned as the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, and 10 years ago to the day where we voted to leave Brexit, and look what happened. The last time I saw my next guest, he was as inebriated as me, and he's such a legend that I said, "Did you have a good weekend?" He went, "Well, I went to Switzerland." He didn't actually say all that. Where I met James Bond's son. Yesterday, Harry Cole, I think, and I'm going to be really good to you because we're mates, I thought was one of the greatest pieces of telly I've ever seen. We can only play you a clip. Go on, Harry Cole Saves the West online, because this is brilliant. Talk about eviscerating Keir Starmer. Have a little listen to a snippet from HC yesterday.
Nothing better sums up that blinkered, legalistic view of a mythical higher power of international law. It kept the party do-gooders on the backbenchers happy, but the country, well, the country can be damned. Honesty, integrity and decency. They were the promises made by Keir Starmer. 2 shabby years later, his all-talk government collapsed under the weight of its dishonesty, amateurism and, frankly, hubris. But one promise Keir Starmer did manage to keep, one he made from the Downing Street podium just 2 years ago. It would be remiss not to note he certainly united the country. It was just united against him.
Best bit of telly I've ever seen you done, mate, and I'm allowed to say that
From
after
the
30
maestro,
years.
from the maestro.
Unbelievable, spot on. Just as a view, before we talk Burnham, talk about gaslighting. I mean, all I could do when I was watching your bit and listening to that yesterday was try telling that to the farmers who took their lives. Try telling that to Novak's parents or, I don't know, the Calacane victims' parents. Try telling that to policemen and women or shopkeepers or small business owners or waspy women or pensioners. An absolute and utter disgrace of a man who failed patently, Harry.
Well, I think we're going to see in the next couple of days, weeks, months, years, you're going to get a sort of Starmer revisionism where they're going to try and say, actually, he was a good bloke that was...
Do you think that?
Decent guy who, you know, tried his best and he, you know... It was really interesting that all he could really do when he was standing on the steps of Downing Street yesterday was list stuff he did before he got into Downing Street.
Well, no, but hold on a second. He said... I mean, I wrote it down because I was there. You're an expert. Answer me this. The economy, is it stronger under him?
No.
Wages have risen.
Minimum wage has risen.
Biggest uplift in defence, despite the fact your defence secretary resigned a week ago saying you don't even want to defend the country. Small boat crossings, are they falling?
I mean, some weeks there was 700 one day the other week.
Asylum hotels are closing. That's because they've let them all run amok.
Closing because they've been putting them into social housing. Yeah.
And the most annoying thing about Keir Starmer is 500,000 children being lifted out of poverty, probably thanks to breakfast clubs.
And where middle-class kids are subsidised to eat toast.
You're on fire, mate.
I mean, look, we're going to see a lot of, but Keir was great on the world stage, was he? I mean, look at Donald Trump's reaction overnight. I mean, Donald Trump pre-announced Keir Starmer's resignation before Keir Starmer could even resign.
I think we've got... have we got it? He says there are 2 things and then mentions 3. Morning, Donald.
I was critical only from the set because I think he's a lovely man, but I said you're really messing up energy. You have windmills all over the place. In the meantime, you have the North Sea oil, and they won't let anybody drill. It's one of the great fields in the world. The UK buys much of its energy. You know where? Norway. You know where they get their oil? The North Sea. The UK has a much better portion of the North Sea. They don't want to do it for environmental purposes, okay? And I told him he's a very nice man. I mean, sort of a friend of mine. I mean, he was not good to us with NATO, Pete, right? He said, we can't use the island to land. That was the first. For a couple of weeks, he said, well, but ultimately I gave it to you. Now, that was a bad move. That hurt him badly. But I mean, I wish him well, but he's got 2 problems, energy and immigration and crime. But energy and immigration.
So that's 3 then.
I mean, energy, immigration, crime,
that's
Chagos. I mean, he managed to get 4.
But how spot on is he about the North Sea?
Well, exactly. I do think I'm actually going to write about this later, maybe tomorrow, maybe later in this week. And actually, if Burnham does actually want to move on from the past, there's a very big early win he could have if he really wanted to do something differently. And that is scrap or delay net zero.
Right, so here's an interesting... Let's talk about this anointing. Front page of the Mail today, Messiah without a mandate. Front page of the Sun, he thinks it's all over and it is for Starmer. Front page of the Times, Burnham angles for power. Now, I have always been straight down the line about this. I don't believe that you can change party without an election as an MP. I've said this to you before. Yep. I know it's not a presidential system in this country, but for me, the figurehead of a party gets a mandate. The Tories did it. The Tories did it with Truss. They did it with Sunak. We've seen the tweets from Burnham and Rayner going, we need a general election. Now the Labour Party have done it. I think the whole thing's fundamentally wrong, if only because we know this man is going to move away from whatever Starmer's policies are.
But he wasn't even elected on those. He wasn't elected on anything. He has no manifesto. He 20,000 people in Makerfield, good people, honest and true, I am sure. You know, great, but they're not responsible for electing
How many of them were Labour voters and how many of them were tactical voters?
Exactly, and how many of them are actually, you know, this is a man that's had 20,000 people vote for him. He's not going to even go to have Labour MPs, let alone Labour members, vote for him. It is a coup. You know, he has not stood on any manifesto. We don't know what he stands for. We're being promised that he's going to give a number of speeches next week, so we can all look forward to that. But he's asking for power while also deliberately being totally vague. He spent the entire campaign in Makerfield saying, well, I'll think about that. Yeah, well, that's really interesting. I'll think about that.
So his argument for that was, I'm talking local issues, I'll talk nationally when I... Mate,
but this is the only time that he's going to come into contact with the ballot box.
So let's talk about specifics. You know about these things far better than me. The overriding problem in this country right now, irrespective of whatever people tell you, is we are skint, and forgetting black holes and incompetent chancellors, we're not defendable, and our public services are creaking because our benefits bill is ludicrous. Keir Starmer couldn't even get through Parliament a $5 billion out of 330. Has Andy Burnham got that political capital to stand in front of them and say, I need to do it?
It's almost worse than Catch-22. It's worse than rock and a hard place. You got on one side, yeah, you're right, Jeremy. You've got not only their benefit bill, 300 billion quid a year. You've got almost half of our day-to-day national spending, is going on the NHS as well. That has seen its spending double while its output has flatlined. So you've got all that massive spending on one side. You need to increase your spending on defence, but you're locked in that bind on thing. On the other side, you've got the highest tax burden in peacetime. The highest squeeze. There's nowhere left to squeeze to raise money. And on the other side of that, you've got the bond markets who are saying, well, you can't borrow anymore because you're bust. So you can't borrow, you can't put up taxes, you can't cut spending.
So what do you do?
I don't know, but I have a feeling that Andy Burnham's going to end up being as unpopular as Keir Starmer within a matter of months.
People have texted me saying you're being really cynical. No. I think by Christmas, Andy Burnham is bang in trouble. Not against him as a person, but he has no room for manoeuvre. And you've got to keep all those lefties happy.
And who thought if you think where we'd be, when we were sitting here 2 years ago, now almost to the day, who would have thought we'd see Keir Starmer out on his ear, after 23 months.
The biggest post-war majority in the history of politics.
The local elections, the Makerfield by-election, the Gorton and Denton by-elections show how fluid the electorate are, how engaged the electorate are. They know. They're paying attention, they know what's going on here, and they know how to get results they want, and they know how to kick people out that they don't like. So he's entering now into a very, very turbulent political system, and he's asking to do that without any backing.
Do you know what somebody said to me yesterday? The view from the cheap seats is always a lot easier than the view from the big seat. Listen, good luck to him. I would have thought he would... The reason I don't understand why he's not ready is I thought he would have been planning to be Prime Minister since he stood against Corbyn in 2015 and got eviscerated,
he stood against Ed Miliband in 2010 and managed to lose that. This is a guy that couldn't even beat Ed Miliband. You can see why he doesn't want to have leadership elections, because that would be involving some stress testing of his ideas. And I remember a really interesting speech that Andy Burnham gave in 2016 after Brexit, around Brexit, where he was railing against free movement. He was railing against immigration, and now where is he now? Where do we know on him that? Now he was saying, I wanted to rejoin the EU a couple of weeks ago. So it's, we really need to know who he is, what he wants, what he stands for. And it's not just us asking for that. Look at the opinion polls. Public think there should be an election as well.
I will also say, and I'm totally with you, we went through a stage with politics. No, blow your nose. Bless his heart. He's got hay fever. They went through a stage with politics where people were disengaged. I think as the cost of living has started to stretch uncontrollably, I think far more people, the silent majority, I've said it to you every single day. Very quickly, couple of things. Let's talk about what you believe. I've got an outsider here, not what you believe in. We know that's nothing. Here's Cabinet. I'm going to throw at you what I threw at Richard Tice and others this morning. Shabana Mahmood, does she stay or does she go?
I think she stays at the Home Office, because actually, of all the things that Starmer's government were beginning to do, have a look at those numbers on net migration. Yes, the Tories began to sort of really squeeze it, and they're seeing the results of that now, but, I mean, her immigration reforms are the only immigration reforms in town at the moment. Might as well let them keep going.
Who gets Chancellor? There are rumours, right, that it could be Streeting. I'm not sure that financially he knows his stuff. Thoughts on that?
I think that's sensible. When he gave a speech the other day about, I was obviously showing off his ideas. I'm a bit worried about the fact that his big idea is a £12 billion raid on entrepreneurs and capital gains, which is again, these people are already fleeing London. They're already fleeing tech hubs. They're already taking their expertise around the world and taking their money around the world. Going after them, I don't think is possibly the wisest move. Ed Miliband as Chancellor. Look,
No. I'm leaving.
No, I mean I have a sort of fever dream vision that he's just going to go for it. I mean,
do you want to
if he's going to do it anyway, if he's going to be this new direction, he's going to do it. I just think he might do it.
I think he will use his power to neuter Ed Miliband. That's what I think.
That's what I hope, and that's what I hope.
If Burnham has the balls to stand up to Miliband, Yvette Cooper, should she stay or should she go? Because I've got the ideal replacement, and even people through there are going, that's quite a good shout, Jez.
Look, he needs some continuity. He needs some women. He needs some.
Yeah, Shabana Mahmood. Shall I tell you who I think will be Foreign Secretary? The only one in that party with any gravitas, and I don't agree with this.
Keir Starmer.
John Healey.
John Healey. Well, yeah, I do wonder whether John Healey comes back somewhere. He obviously can't come back in defence unless he extracts more money. But obviously, a big beast. Just on the Ed Miliband point, just look at who's running the place. Ed Miliband's, spads have been lent over to Burnham to help run his campaign. He's been the one sort of behind the scenes pulling the strings on this coup. He's going to want something for that.
Angela, is she coming back?
I wonder if they took her back on her old job. Now she's paid her housing bill.
Deputy Prime Minister?
No, well, I don't know. I wonder whether you do you even need one of those? It's such a non-job.
Lucy Powell, but the big and interesting one is the one that was convicted of fraud, who used to have pink hair, Louise Hay, and run around mobile phoning.
She's got the bob now. She looks
like Rachel Reeves.
I mean, Lizzie, Lou Hay thinks she was very hard done by Starmer, and not least by Morgan McSweeney. So I mean, she is a woman scorned. But she ran that campaign up in Makerfield, and she saw off reforms. So
I met him the other night at that party after I had just one glass.
Andy Burnham?
No. Morgan McSweeney. How small is he?
Well, small but very dangerous.
Small but very dangerous. And it was good the other night to see that you didn't drink too much, whereas I did, didn't I? Which is very rare.
I was a model of sobriety.
You weren't indeed. Finally, England tonight, watching?
Yes. I'm going to watch. You know what? I'm going to watch it on the Sun newsroom floor tonight because there's free pizza.
Oh, not because you're on the floor, Cole.
No.
Poor man's got out of bed with Cole. And also, we should do this. We've got 1 minute. 10th anniversary of Brexit today. For goodness' sake,
exactly.
10 years ago today.
Happy birthday. Where was I 10 years ago? I was.
Prison?
I got up. I was in the Sun newsroom floor all night, and I remember.
You spend a lot of time on the Sun newsroom floor.
And it was obviously I was a big fan of Brexit. Some people in the building weren't, and I managed to actually have my first glass of champagne as a free Briton about 8:10 in the hotel opposite, watching David Cameron resign. And it was amazing.
He was at the party. Did you see the linen suit?
I did a vision in linen. But it was an amazing morning, that was. That was actually the 24th of June, the next morning, when,
I remember that.
When the Prime Minister resigned, and it was the third story on the news. Because you had Brexit has happened, then you had Mark Carney, then now Prime Minister of Canada, and then the Bank of England governor, doing a massive cash boost injection into the economy to prop up the markets. And then they're like, oh, the Prime Minister's resigned, as a token.
He wouldn't have had to have resigned if he hadn't nailed his colours to a mast. He would have said, you wanted a referendum, there you go. But Andy Burnham could be the Prime Minister by June the 16th, 17th. It's not going away, this, is it?
I suspect the coronation is complete, the coup is over. He'll be in there by, the great EU reset summit between Keir Starmer and the EU has been cancelled.
Yes, fantastic. The legend that is Harry Cole. Listen, go online. Harry Cole Saves the West. That monologue yesterday, and I don't usually say this, was utterly, utterly fascinating and brilliantly put together.
If you're not near a computer, you can read it. You can read it in full in the paper.
Oh, so you copied what you wrote in the paper online, yeah?
I'm a multimedia digital node.
It's called plagiarism. Professional plagiarism.
I wrote it.
Yeah, but write it and then speak it. That's like me writing what I speak. Not that you could do that. Thank you very much, Harry Cole. Stand by. We have the news at 8, which is next on Talk Breakfast. Enjoy.
We've got some breaking news that has just come in. talkSPORT have announced a brand new partnership in a developing story. We hear they've created So Good Lager right in time for football's big summer. Just in, we're hearing that So Good Lager will be pouring pints across all O'Neill's pubs and some of the best sports pubs across the UK. With the big kickoff just around the corner, you can find out where to get your hands on a fresh pint of So Good Lager at talksport.com/
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk. Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back and welcome along. Just gone 8 o'clock on Tuesday, the 23rd of June, the day after Keir Starmer tearfully resigned on the steps of 10 Downing Street after, well, what can only be described as a coup by the Parliamentary Labour Party. The Messiah, the King of the North, Andy Burnham, front of the Mail this morning, heading down south. And, of course, the press have already started. He hasn't got a mandate. Let's point out the Tories did the same. We can debate that. But Starmer yesterday, I wasn't here, but I have to say, you look at somebody crying and you think, oh, and then you think, no, hold on a minute. So the speech yesterday talked about how the economy was stronger. No, it's not. Wages have risen. No, they haven't. The biggest uplift in defence spending? No, not at all. The defence secretary resigned 10 days ago saying he didn't care. Small boat crossings are falling. No, they're not. Asylum hotels are closing. Yes, they are. And all the illegal migrants are running amok around the towns. And 500,000 kids being lifted out of poverty by, yes, breakfast clubs. But let's also talk Keir Starmer, shall we? Let's be honest, OK? Let's talk about the lies, the U-turns, the duplicity and, frankly, the inability to do the job. Try asking pensioners or WASPy women or our armed forces or our farmers or lo and behold, our armed forces who served and then got treated appallingly. Try talking to small business owners. Try talking to the Chagossian people. Try talking to anybody and everybody. You were an absolute disaster. You should never have been elected. You have done what Johnson did and abdicated a massive landslide majority and wasted it and put this country even further behind the 8 ball. We thought we'd celebrate this morning, I'm just being honest, with a Keir Starmer lead I can't even speak this morning. Here's a compilation of his worst, best, whatever bits. Go.
Again for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. The return of the sausages. I would like to send my warmest congratulations to President Trump. Of course, I wouldn't want Donald Trump round for dinner. The relationship between our two nations has been one of collaboration. I'm anti-Trump, cooperation. But don't underestimate the danger to the world if Trump is re-elected, and enduring partnership. Never happened before. This is unprecedented. I think that just symbolises the strength of the relationship between us. I'm delighted that the inspiring Nobel Nobel Prize winner.
True democracy is citizen-led. We demand a people's house!
This project has always been about fixing the foundations of our country. It must be really incredible to be part of building, I mean, actually here, not just building. Smash the gangs to smash the people smuggling gangs. Could you please join me when I say 5?
That man is not allowed in my pub.
4.
That's assault.
3.
That man is not allowed in my pub.
2.
Get out of my pub. Go on.
1.
Get out of my pub.
Yay! It worked.
Unlike you. So the Messiah from the North, Andy Burnham, people are describing as a coup, has, well, it looks like he's got a clear run at number 10. He, of course, got Josh Simons to stand aside. He won the Makerfield by-election last week. Huge majority, by the way, 9,000, which send ripples through the whole of the Parliamentary Labour Party. He arrived yesterday in London under guard and made his way to the House of Commons, where he was sworn in as a new MP. We should play this. Bit of a sense of humour, actually. Somebody shouted out, "He's not a Messiah, he's a naughty boy." Let's. This is Andy Burnham being sworn in yesterday, peeps.
Rome is saved.
I swear by Almighty God that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles, his heirs and successors, according to law. So help me God. Naughty boys.
What do you make of it all, my friends? 0344 499 1000. If nobody else stands against Burnham, he will be the Prime Minister of this country by July the 16th. There are rumours this morning about how the Cabinet will look. It is, of course, the 10th anniversary of Brexit. We've got a red weather warning whereby it's going to be hotter than it's ever been in the history of the world. And England tonight take on Ghana in the World Cup. Jim, good morning.
Morning, Jeremy. Jim from Exeter. Carl, Richard Tice is on one today, but I totally agree with you. No Labour Prime Minister is ever going to stand up to his backbenchers and do the right thing, because, unfortunately, it's an ideology. It's not just a case of coming in and doing the right thing. It's an ideology which they have to follow, which is more borrowing, more spending and higher taxes. As Margaret Thatcher said, the problem with socialism, you run out of other people's money, and they're just going to try and get more of it.
Let's go to Brighton on the phone. Paul, I want to get you all involved this morning. Paul, you're on Talk Breakfast. Good morning.
Good morning, Jeremy. Yeah, this whole Burnham, Starmer resignation, Burnham becoming an MP, it's so Machiavellian, it's unbelievable. It just smacks of hypocrisy from Labour, but that's their usual way, unfortunately.
Is that it?
Sorry, Jeremy, I lost you there for a second. Sorry.
Sorry, mate. I thought you. Yeah, it does. But for me, it's almost. And I'm being honest when I say this, and I've said it all the way through. I didn't agree with it with the Tories. I didn't believe that if you stand, and we know we're not presidential, but if you stand as the leader of your party and you put forward a manifesto to the British people, and that gets you elected, how can you then, if you become unpopular with your party, be replaced? Now, the strategists would say, but Jez, that's a constitutional money. This guy wasn't even in Parliament in the last election when they put forward that manifesto. He might well be, in his mind, the saviour of the North, and he might well turn out to be a good Prime Minister. But as that last guy on Voice Note made the point, and I made it earlier, he has got he's got a bag load of problems, but he's basically got no money to spend, no money to borrow, and no money to claw back unless he raises taxes, goes to the IMF, and probably worse of all, has the balls to stand up to his backbenchers and go, we need to do something about the inflated welfare benefits bill. But nobody's going to do that because they'll absolutely hate it. Paul, thank you so much indeed. Paula, good morning.
Morning, Jeremy. It's Paula in Liverpool. I thought I'd be doing cartwheels when Keir Starmer resigned. But now that day's actually come, and I'm listening to you talk about all the no marks we might have in the cabinet. Angela Rayner, the woman who stole her own mobile phone, figure that one out, and the rest of them. It's like a game of moronic musical chairs, isn't it? It's even more depressing. And when you hear who he takes his financial advice, his economic advice from, oh my God, I'm terrified. Bring back Keir Starmer.
Really? Sorry, it's only 8:10, 24 hours ago. I did listen. Listen, Andy Burnham might be a nice man. Keir Starmer, there's nothing about him that you'd think was even interesting enough to have an opinion whether you liked him or hated him. The fact of the matter is we should not lose sight of the belief that the Labour way of doing things, and I'm old enough to say this, I said it earlier, is you promise everything to everybody, usually your union mates. You talk about, you know, how the economy's on its backside, and then you pump in money, usually through taxation or printing it. I'm not saying Starmer, by the way, was any good at all. I disagree with you, Paula. I thought he, a bit like Johnson, let down the country with his inability, I think. Do you see how happy old Rayner looked yesterday? I wonder what job she's going to get. It'll be interesting. Ivor, not the engine. Morning, Jess. Starmer said everything he did was for the country he loves. Where's that? Palestine. Do one. Fantastic. Rob S. Rob from Burnley, prediction. Burnham will promise a general election, but it will never be the right time. Mid-2028 is my guess. Bob Seeger, is that right? How many nights a year do you use your AC? I haven't got any AC. Well, I'm not telling you that. Oh, sorry. Hold on a second. Brilliant. Sorry. This is great. This is a message for Times Radio, for one of their breakfast presenters called Stig. Stig, how many nights a year do you use your AC? You see, that's the difference between Talk and Times. The presenters on Times have AC. I only have that in the West Wing, where I stay. I'm joking. I'm not. Hi, Jez. This country's like an old widower living in a multi-million-pound house, living off a widow's pension, having to go to a food bank to survive. Yet she could be living the dream on a cruise ship for the rest of her life, but she won't sell up because it's the only home she knows, and she'll die in poverty first. We have to start fracking, open up more oil and gas wells, invest in clean nuclear energy, or we'll be dead and buried and we'll die in poverty a long time before global warming gets us. And I can't believe Makerfield voted for more of the same. You have your say, Ernie. Joey's in Burnley. Morning, Joey. Good morning, Jez. The BBC were blowing so much smoke up Burnham's backside yesterday, they even rode down on the train with him. I'm surprised he didn't roll up in London with 3 wise men and a bleeding donkey. Yeah, the BBC would love all that, wouldn't they? Richie is in Grimsby. Morning, Richie. Good morning. Labour always say they want to prove they are better than the Tories. What better way than to stick to their moral principles and hold a general election that they were all calling for under Sunak? True. Ian's in Wales. Why did I say it like that? Just a couple of hours after watching their leader resign, many Labour MPs posed for Andy Burnham's selfie. What a great look that is for all concerned, is it not? Finally, for now, Richard's in Northampton. Jez, I wonder if Andy Burnham will be carping on about the black hole he's inherited from Keir Starmer. That's Richard in Northampton. Morning, Laura.
Morning, Jeremy. Laura in Wiltshire. I am pleased Starmer's gone. He was a sanctimonious creep, and he was totally untrustworthy and not up to the job. However, I'm afraid my heart is not singing, because I think for whatever faults Starmer had, Burnham's got them in spades. He is going to be truly terrible. And I think that there's no way he's going to call an early general election. And actually, with our unwritten constitution, he doesn't need to. We just need to brace ourselves for whatever they're going to do next, which could be disastrous. He could bring in proportional representation. He could do all sorts of things with that majority. I think we need to just heads down and hope to God that they don't do too many things that are irreversible after the next election, and that Reform have a chance to win. Anyway, great show.
We've got some breaking news that has just come in. talkSPORT have announced a brand new partnership in a developing story. We hear they've created So Good Lager right in time for football's big summer. Just in, we're hearing that So Good Lager will be pouring pints across all O'Neill's pubs and some of the best sports pubs across the UK. With the big kickoff just around the corner, you can find out where to get your hands on a fresh pint of So Good Lager at talksport.com/lager.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Before we crack on, we have to stop because Oliver, William, Robin, Carl will not go into school unless he gets a mention. Great report yesterday, mate. Well proud of you. Love you, Rissy Roo. What is it? 16 minutes past 8. Just for those of you who follow this show will know, you know, sometimes you line up, guess the whole time and they just don't answer, and then you look like it's a bit sad, but it's fine. We'll get to you, Dan Hodges. 0344 499 1000. Dan, obviously busy. Here's a great point, by the way. When we were driving in this morning, when I say we, I was being driven, right? I put shorts on. I'm just going to share this with you because it was absolutely roasting. Roasting overnight and roasting all the time, yeah? Absolutely. Halfway down the road, have you seen flash floods? Half of England's underwater. Railways and roads, but apparently that's because a heat dome's on the way. I thought in the old days when it started to rain, that broke it. But tomorrow is going to be hotter than hot can be. Many people keeping their kids off school. 0344 it's very hard. 0344 499 1000. This is Charles in Thailand. Railway tracks in the UK are buckling. Feeling like temperatures in Thailand, they're usually 40 plus, and every day the railways in Thailand don't have this issue. Does the UK railway use inferior steel for their rails? Probably it does, yeah. Which it's probably imported from Norway, which probably found it somewhere in England, because that's what happens. 0344 499 1000. Is that Laura? Is that new or old? No, she's done. Let's go to Kevin in Northamptonshire. Kevin, good morning. Welcome to Talk.
Morning, Jeremy. Yeah, just like...
Brilliant. That sums up the first 20 minutes of this hour, doesn't it? Jeremy, I'd like to... should we try again, or are we just going to... I'll tell you what we could do. Do you know Rob, the legendary Rob, who people wanted in the government, who sent his voice note about 20 past 6 this morning? You remember Angry Rob? Can we... have we got that, ladies and gentlemen? I'm being looked at like I've landed from Mars here. Right, ladies and gentlemen, you love this man. You think he should be in government. Morning, Rob.
Morning, Jez. Listen to the show. Great as always. Rob, on my way to work. And the other day I heard all them MPs in the Houses of Parliament cheering him when he was sworn in. Every single one of them greedy, snivelling, anti-British, patriot-hating gits sat on them seats. The only reason they were cheering is because they think if he gets in, they're still going to be in a job and they can keep their big fat snouts in that trough a bit longer. Well, all of them people that think he's the solution, they are putting their own personal gain and wealth above the safety and the sovereignty of this nation. This country comes before everything else, because without the defence of the realm, guess what? We haven't got anything else. We're done. We're finished. These people are beyond a joke. I mean, the last time Keir Starmer went to that meeting a few days ago, he stood there looking like the bloke that was taking people's coats. People ignore him. He's supposed to be a world leader. Good God, he couldn't lead a donkey. The man's a buffoon. I'm glad he's gone. But guess what? Now we've got an absolute bigger idiot in there. A bloke that he's sort of like, Keir Starmer made a real mess of this in the last 2 years. Hang on, hold my beer.
Just love him so much. I worry about he's going to sign on Pip in a minute because he gets so anxious. 20 past 8, 0344 499 1000. Is that call ready? The call's gone again. What's going on? I'm having a nightmare, ladies and gentlemen. 0344 499 1000. Nobody has mentioned Starmer okayed the Chinese embassy spy station in London, says Lance. You're right. Martin Allen, good morning. Jez, I voted for Starmer in the last election. Sorry. I didn't vote for Burnham, over 420 MPs, and this has happened. What does it say about the Labour Party? Very interesting there. That guy voted for Starmer. He's appalled, not only because Starmer did such an awful job, but the fact that he didn't vote for Andy Burnham, who looks like he could accede to the throne. Wills is in Wigan. Why do you keep on doing that mock northern accent? Hardly anyone talks like that in North, and certainly not Mr Burnham. You are a typical southerner whose views of the North come from watching too many episodes of Coronation Street. Wills, you wrong me, old son. I spent 20 years living and working in Manchester and love it. It is just a joke. I have the utmost respect for thee. I love the accent's great. I can't even do it. It's probably Yorkshire. Will Burnham bring back Corbyn? Morning, Sue. How are you?
Morning, Jeremy. Just a quick one on Andy Burnham's. They're going to scrap net zero. That ain't going to happen because his wife's so heavily involved with an EV company that's actually anything to do with Octopus Energy. So there's no way he's more involved in it than Milliwatt, whatever. See you later. Bye.
She's worse than me. Andy Andrew Millerpot or whatever. Let's go to... Is it Dave on the voice note? Morning, Dave.
Morning, Jez. Dave from Hertfordshire here. I was listening to that MP and I actually like him. I really do. But then he said something that really basically got my back up straight away. When he turned around and said we got a thumping majority and constitutionally you don't vote for a leader, you vote for a party. And that was exactly the same excuse that they were doing when the Tories were swapping prime ministers around over and over again. Andy Burnham, you know, I can't put a finger on this one, but basically Starmer was driving us over a cliff or towards a cliff. Now Andy's in the hot seat. Will he swerve to avoid the cliff or put his foot on the accelerator? I'm now going to go shopping on Amazon for parachutes because I think we're going over the cliff. Have a great show.
God. Kevin, please get a phone that works in Northamptonshire. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm just annoyed with the political landscape in this country and the fact that when are MPs going to start realising they're elected to manage this country as a whole?
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate they have party political beliefs, but they've got to put the country first. They're there. They're elected to manage, and that's what they should do. They should work in conjunction with each other to manage instead of being worried about their own kudos and self-importance.
I don't disagree with you, Kev. I've had several conversations over the years with people who talk about being in politics and how you go in with real aspiration and then the machinations of Parliament or Westminster or government drag you down. But there doesn't seem to be much principle nowadays, and more than that, there doesn't seem to be much conviction, does there?
No, there doesn't, and I think that's probably a common factor across the nation, that people don't have conviction to actually do what they say. And
I tell you what I thought when I saw Starmer cry, and I remember Theresa May crying. Liz Truss looked like she was going to cry. Sunak was wet anyway. That's because it was raining, before somebody says I'm being disrespectful. It's almost... I mean, I'm sure that getting rid of all of that power and importance is an incredibly difficult thing to do. But, underline, you're right. The conviction politicians, I think, go in with a plan and it goes to work or it doesn't work and they go on their merry way. I think we've had too many career politicians, and I might say, and it's not going to be very popular, I think we have too many mediocre politicians. I think that's been the problem with this Labour Party, and I think things will not dramatically change. What do you make of Andy Burnham? Are you excited about that?
Not at all.
Oh, that's gone well then. No?
No, you talk about mediocre politicians. I think he's the epitome of it.
Well, he is apparently the king of the north. Kevin, thank you very much indeed. I always like to share with my viewers and listeners the reality of doing a live programme. So the first guest at 8 o'clock has had real technical issues, and we literally... I love this show. We literally am waiting for him to call. My second guest, Katie Lamb, the MP for the Weald of Kent, the Tour MP, she's stuck in a lift which isn't moving. This is the reality. Christian's just laughing. They're eating sausages through there. Why did I say that? Let's go to Manchester. Paul, good morning, my friend.
Good morning, Jeremy. Can I just say, it took me 30 years to speak to you and I've done nothing wrong.
Well, that's not what your wife said. Join me after the break. No, I'm joking.
Oh, God bless you.
Paulie boy, I've been told off by a Mancunian for doing accent like that to have a bit of a laugh. How are you, son?
I'm shining.
Right, listen, you're going to phone me and you're going to say Keir Starmer was a disgrace, but my Andy is going to save the nation, aren't you?
I'm going to say that Andy Burnham is Labour's Boris Johnson.
OK.
That's what I'm going to say. He's dropped Manchester like a hot brick.
That's a really interesting analogy. Somebody said earlier that he has the Boris Johnson-esque ability to garner interest, and he looks the part, sounds the part. You know, yesterday we were watching the pictures on screen when he was coming forward to be sworn in. It was quite funny. I was quite taken with it because as he stepped forward, one of the Tories shouted out, "He's not the Messiah." And
he said he's a naughty boy.
And Burnham went, "I'm just a naughty boy." And I thought, but the truth is that was a well-orchestrated coup, and one that he will benefit from. You're saying that deep down, like Johnson, there isn't much stuffing, for want of a better phrase.
Listen, the Crays looked the part, didn't they?
You what?
The Crays, they looked the part.
Yes, that's true. What is it that you don't like about Andy Burnham?
He's not going to be the great Prime Minister that he thinks he's going to be.
But we're told, and I lived in Manchester, as you know, but now we're down here, we were told everywhere across the country that he made Manchester so much better.
Right, listen, he's coming into a position that he's got no choice but to tax me again. He's got no choice.
I mean, listen, I'm with you, and people think I've been told already this morning, you're being cynical, give him a chance. I'm a patriot, I want him to work, but he has no fiscal movement. There's nothing he can do but raise taxes, borrow money from the IMF, or do what needs doing, which is cut the welfare bill. But the Labour Party won't do that. They don't have it in their DNA, pal.
But he can't suggest that because he'll be ousted straight away.
Yeah,
Keir Starmer just went along with that tide. He just thought, right, well, let them decide what's going to happen.
Couldn't agree more.
With Burnham.
City or United?
Absolutely red.
Good boy, well done, proper team. Love you for having you on. Take care, Paul in Manchester, thank you. And good morning.
Morning, Jez and the team. Just a quick thought. Do you think Andy Burnham, if he does take on the Premiership, would be like a Premiership football manager trying to save us from relegation?
Great. Lee's in Cheltenham. Lee, good morning.
Morning, how you doing? You all right?
Yeah, I just want to get lots of people's opinions. It's not because we can't get any of our guests on, because one's stuck in a lift and the other's whatever. Lee, what's happening?
Right, I've got two quick questions for you, and I'll make it quick for you. One of them is, if Andy Burnham likes to join the European Union again, and then he doesn't, and he's doing the okey-dokey with that, do you reckon he's going to take on the parliamentary ruling of sending all the immigrants back if he rejoins the EU? And the other one is, do you reckon Keir Starmer might actually call a general election just before Andy Burnham steps through that number 10?
No, I think Keir Starmer... I'll go further with Starmer. I think he will resign as an MP within weeks. I don't think you'll see him again. I think he will. I think the last roll of the dice for him will be to offer Andy Burnham a really tricky by-election in the middle of London, which the Greens will target. Let me tell you that. I don't think he'll call a general election. I think Burnham is I really like what the last caller said, if I'm honest. I think he's probably Boris Johnson, the Labour Party's Boris Johnson. Looks, sounds, and they've got behind him, but there will be problems. But the biggest issue, and you're so right, Lee, is there's no money, there's no move. He can't move. There's nothing he can do if he doesn't raise taxes or cut the welfare bill. And I don't think he's getting that through the Parliamentary Labour Party. Maybe in a honeymoon period, maybe he can be honest and say to them, listen, guys, unless we do this, we're out of power. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. 8:30, thank you, Lee. My God, are you telling me that technically it's working? OK, she's out of a lift. She's live on the show. Katie Lamb, Conservative MP for the Weald of Kent. Katie, good morning.
Good morning, Jeremy. Hi.
Are you all right? Were you stuck in a lift or something? I've had a nightmare for half an hour.
Every tube line is not working. It's too hot, apparently, to actually be able to run public transport in the City of London today.
Well, so let me just tell you this. So I came in early. The tropical storm was the worst I've ever seen in my life, Katie. I thought we were going to literally sink.
It was amazing. It woke me up in the middle of the night, and I went to go and have a look at it. I mean, it was quite remarkable. But yes, the weather is doing all sorts of things today.
Well, let's moan too much, or we'll have all the environmentalists out. Right, let's talk about this Labour Party. And you know me, we've spoken before. I do try and be honest. I've been really straight to both Tory, Labour, Liberal Democrats, Reform, whatever. I don't think. I mean, you lot did it 3 times, and I know that the Conservative argument this morning is, hold on a second, Andy Burnham wasn't even an MP when Labour put forward its manifesto. But to me, it's a really dangerous thing. I know we don't have a presidential system, but if you're at the forefront of something, the pinnacle, and it's your manifesto and you're the leading figure, it seems a bit of a con to the British people, and I think the noise will become louder and louder, Katie.
I completely agree. Exactly as you say, Andy Burnham was not even a member of Parliament when this government was elected. But the deeper problem, Starmer has been, I think, an awful Prime Minister. I don't think you will get much argument on that score. But Andy Burnham is going to inherit exactly the same group of MPs. This is the same 400 people that supported Starmer in all of his worst ideas and often urged him to do even more, to go even further, to do an even worse job. You know, we saw how the Parliamentary Party humiliated him over welfare reforms. It seems impossible to imagine that Andy Burnham can turn that around. How can he? He wasn't even elected with them.
I mean, for me, that's the really interesting point, because they'll talk about personality, and they'll talk about coups, and they'll talk about, somebody just said, he's Boris Johnson from the Labour side. But the thing is, you got it right. We were talking to Matt Vickers this morning, who got it spot on. There's only 3 things that you absolutely know the Labour Party will do, which is to basically give pay rises to their union paymasters, and when they've run out of money through tax, they go to the IMF. Well, we've got the highest taxation in the world than we've ever had. We've got no manoeuvrability with the IMF because we're broke. The only thing that any government of any sense needs to do, the Labour Party won't do, which is, he couldn't even get a £5 billion cut out of £332 billion, Starmer. Is Andy Burnham seriously going to be able to get a cut? I doubt it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the honeymoon period, but I can't see that happening. Can you, Katie?
And it wasn't even a cut. What he was looking to do was to take £5 billion off the growth in the welfare bill. So everybody accepted it's still going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. It's up £20 billion since Starmer came to office. But even just cutting the growth, Labour MPs won't have it. They are completely addicted to spending other people's money.
There's a poll out this morning, which I'm sure you'll have read, that shows that 89% of British people now want a general election after Keir Starmer's resignation. We talked about, they were tweeting when you replaced when you replaced Liz Truss with of course, Rishi Sunak. There's a tweet from Andy Burnham and Angela Rayner. The Tories are at it. They're all into power. They need to call a general election. Are you calling for a general election now?
Well, Labour hypocrisy is nothing new, but what we're saying and what Kemi has said is the #1 priority of this government, of any government, is to be able to defend the country. Keir Starmer literally 2 weeks ago lost his Defence Secretary because he said that Starmer was unwilling to find the money needed to defend the nation. If that is still the case, if that's still the case for Andy Burnham, then they need to go to the people.
But the interesting thing, we go back to it with Burnham, where's he going to get money from to increase defence? Where's he going to get it from cutting welfare? I just don't see it happening. As you watched it unfold yesterday, did it strike you as a heavily orchestrated coup? Because it seemed to work to perfection. Streeting 14 nanoseconds after Starmer resigned said, I'm not standing against Burnham. He's obviously been promised a job. Politics is one dirty business, isn't it, Katie, to be fair?
Well, they've clearly spent most of the last few weeks and months trying to position themselves rather than trying to run the country. I mean, we can see the evidence of that all around us. But yes, yesterday did seem quite a well-orchestrated affair. We will see if there are still people willing to throw a spanner in the works and have a proper contest, so Burnham can face a bit of competition. But you know, the internal machinations of the Labour Party are not my specialist subject, but we'll see.
Actually, somebody said this morning, I think it might have been Harry Cole, that he wouldn't put it past them to put up somebody like Darren Jones, not just he's got no chance, but just so that Burnham can go around the country and spread his work. Do you know Andy Burnham as a person, Katie?
I don't know, although I find it fascinating that he's being billed as this kind of brand new thing, a breath of fresh air. Andy Burnham was first elected as an MP in 2001. When he first came to Parliament, I was in primary school. You know, he is an establishment Labour man through and through. He was a cabinet minister under Gordon Brown. This is not going to be a new start because Andy Burnham is not a new start.
It's interesting about Burnham. He also failed to win the leadership of the Labour Party twice. He failed to beat, amongst the membership, Ed Miliband and Jeremy Corbyn. And I'm not, you know, I'm a patriot, I want my country to work, but that's not the greatest track record, is it?
It's not a ringing endorsement, no.
Brilliant, a great answer. Katie, you are an absolute... Oh, by the way, the weather, so you're aware, if you try and get in on the tube, it's going to get worse. It's going to be 40 degrees tomorrow.
I'm going to melt. I'm going to melt.
Are you watching the football tonight? And if so, with a drink or not? Being a member of Parliament, I suspect you don't drink.
I will be. I won't be watching it in Parliament, so I won't be drinking in Parliament. So Hannah Spencer can rest easy for tonight.
Oh, God. Do you think she'll have a drink? She's a misery. Honestly, MPs have a drink. Honestly, if I had her next to me, I'd turn to drink. Thank you so much indeed. You're a legend, Katie Lamb. We finally got her on. She was stuck. If you are actually in town, in London, as I call it, the tubes, I think, are a nightmare. I love this. You know the bloke from Thailand who went, do you know what's wrong with your country, right? Because it's 40 degrees, the metal on your train tracks is buckling. What's wrong with you people? And then this person's gone, well, the reason rails buckle in the UK is due to the expansion and contraction of metal during temperature change. The gap in the United Kingdom from -12 to 40 degrees, it does cause massive problems. Thailand doesn't have that problem. Actually, I don't know why I did that voice. He's absolutely right. I mean, Thailand's 40 degrees every day, so they've probably got reinforced steel. Ours, right, -12 freezes, +40 melts. The only thing is, you could also say that the trains stop running when there are leaves on the line, when it's raining and the driver can't see, the windscreen wipers aren't going fast enough. It is pretty pathetic, isn't it? But don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. Andy Burnham's going to be the next Prime Minister. I bet he'll do something about the trains, won't he? Rubbish. Morning, Pete.
Morning, Jezza. I'm a veteran of 25 years, and I just want to say about Keir Starmer leaving, thank God for that. The first thing he done when he come into power was get rid of the Veterans Minister. Then he started taking soldiers like me to court years after they'd finished in Northern Ireland, Iraq. And they're still trying to take people to court. It's disgusting. The man needs trying for treachery. That's what he needs doing. Treachery. He's treacherous. I don't know any veteran that would put up with that man. He's evil. And as for Andy Burnham, he's just as bad.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, 20 to 9. We're live across the United Kingdom. This is JK on Breakfast on the Home of Common Sense, where your views on the day's news are always welcome. 0344 419 1000. Text to 87222. You are a grumpy bunch. Sam, Burnham won't be able to do anything. He'll have to do what the backbenchers want, because it's because of them he will walk into number 10. It'll simply be repaying their faith by doing everything they tell him. So basically, we're all going to be ruled by the Labour backbench for the next 3 years. This is quite an interesting text from Frank Etchells in Bingley in West Yorkshire. Do you know what Bingley's famous for, Christian? No. Jezza, I'm a reform voter, but please can we give Burnham the chance to saddle up, climb on his horse, canter to the start, get in the stalls and begin the bloody race? The world must wonder what the hell we're about with all the metaphorical knife-wielding already happening for Burnham. I'll tell you why there is metaphorical knife-wielding, Frank, is because... Not because I don't want to give the guy a chance. There's obviously been a coup, but I don't know what he stands for. And because I don't know what he stands for, people are saying quite rightly, well, hold on a minute. If you put what you stand for, we can make a decision. He doesn't have to. That's seen as getting in through the back door. That will only build. Amy from Rayleigh. Are we really going to be happy for Burnham to reassign Starmer's leftover hangabouts? These people have robbed the country, but the country at risk, and not thought about the hardworking people. How could you think about reinstating someone who steals 40 grand in unpaid stamp duty? It's the Labour pity party. It's a shame Starmer wasn't crying when people were taking their lives, when they were losing their farms and couldn't afford their heating bills. The only thing we need is a general election right now. Ooh. Dave in Lambeth, don't be ridiculous. Jez, we know nothing about this man. He wasn't an MP until 18 hours ago. Well, he was for 15 years, didn't achieve much. His achievements in the Mayor of Manchester are a bit questionable. What exactly did he achieve? The man is just another in a long line of Marxists. Phil in Great Yarmouth. Jez, just a quick question. Why do underground trains have windscreen wipers? Just do one, OK, Phil? I'm sorry. I've obviously lost the ability. I've got an announcement to make. Do you remember, peeps, about a month or... It was the local elections and we couldn't talk about politics and there was nothing really serious going on, so we did a show where you could talk about anything and it was like the biggest show ever. I'm going to do that on Friday. Feel Good Friday is here. On Friday you can talk about anything you want, all right? Imagine the Jeremy Kyle show with a bit of class. Anything you want, except for your relationships. I'm knackered. Let's say a very good morning to Reform UK's First Lady, MP for Runcorn and Helsby, Sarah Pochin.
Good morning, Jeremy. How are you?
Well, you're wearing red. Are you trying to impress Andy Burnham? What's going on now?
Oh, my goodness. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, maybe he should give me a job. I'll sort the country out.
Yeah. Let's start with that. I mean, I struggled yesterday at watching this sort of gaslit speech. I mean, I don't know who... I don't know whether Starmer believed what the scriptwriters had written, but, you know, he said that our economy was stronger, Sarah. Wages have risen. We've got the biggest uplift in defence spending in a decade. Really? Because I thought his defence secretary resigned last week. Small boat crossings are falling, asylum hotels are closing, and 500,000 people or children get to go to breakfast clubs. I mean, patently, without wanting to stick the boot in, he has failed dramatically and... Goodbye, Keir. I mean, not even to mention the Chagos Islands and the way he treated our soldiers and servicemen. Dreadful. Dreadful.
It was a list of all of his failings, not all of his achievements. I listened to that speech, obviously, myself. And I actually genuinely thought this guy is completely disillusioned in what he's achieved. Surely he can't believe in what he's actually saying, those words he was saying. But look, the point is the last 2 years of Starmer has been an unmitigated disaster. And my advice, if you like, to Andy Burnham now, if he does walk into number 10, is this: listen to the British people, protect the veterans, stop the prosecutions of the Northern Ireland veterans, stop the boats. It's only about the will of the government. This government has done... Keir Starmer did not stop a single boat. So, Andy Burnham, stop the boats, because that's what the British people want. Support business. Get rid of this nonsense that is destroying the youth labour market. There are no jobs for young people anymore. There's so much that Burnham needs to do, but he needs to listen to the British people. And can I just say one more thing? How ironic today we are on our 10th anniversary of Brexit, and we are facing in Andy Burnham somebody who, in my opinion, has completely lied to the people of Makerfield. We've got a politician who wants to take us back into Europe, and the prospect of that in terms of increased regulation, even worse growth, and not only that, losing our pound to the euro is a betrayal of the British people.
I couldn't agree more, and I struggle with... look, politics is a dirty business. I know loads of people. Yours was an extraordinary story. You won your seat by 6 votes, which I think proves in so many instances that anything can happen. And certainly, Starmer, we've all been calling for a reality check, and that has happened. Obviously, Burnham has been working on this behind the scenes for a long time. I mean, I find the whole hasn't got a mandate thing hysterical. I saw Nigel's clip where he said we're calling a general election. The Tories have got some front. They're calling a general election. But, of course, they replaced Johnson with Truss and Truss with Sunak, and the Labour Party were all tweeting at that point as well, saying we need a general election. You know my thoughts, Sarah. I don't think you should be able to swap parties. There he is. There's Andy Burnham. When did that... We need to start demanding a general election at the end of this Tory leadership election. This was in July 2022. They were all elected on a manifesto promise to level up the North and are all abandoning it. I've had a problem with MPs that defect to a different party. I've been very honest to everybody about that. I feel exactly the same. It's not his mandate. It was Starmer's. Starmer somehow got a mandate without a manifesto, but I don't believe it's right. And I do believe in the strength of the British people, Sarah, and I believe that the noise will intensify. I really do.
Well, look, there's 2 basic things that the British people are now crying out for: fairness and to feel safe. Yeah. And this government has achieved neither. And the Conservative government before it lined everything up for this disastrous situation with our defence. Andy Burnham will do nothing, in my opinion, to change the position on defence, to invest more in defence, because he will choose to spend our money, borrowed money now, on the benefit system. He will do nothing because of his backbenchers, to sort the benefit system out. Look, Mrs. Thatcher always said, didn't she, you have a pot of money. You have to choose how you spend it. This country is now utterly defenceless, which is a complete betrayal of its people. Have you noticed how the Conservatives are now shouting loudly about the first duty of any government is to defend its people? Well, for 14 years, they didn't invest in defence. And we are utterly defenceless. We have to slash the benefits bill. We have to redirect money into defence. Well, Burnham will not do that.
Well, listen, let's just say I'm his spad. I could get him... Genuinely, I agree with Chris Baxter, by the way. I could get him to win I could get him to do 2 things: call a snap general election and come back with a majority. And you're going to think I've landed from Mars. But he won't be able to get it through. You're right. What he should do is he should sack Ed Miliband, tell him that we're having nothing to do with this 800 billion madness that's net zero, right? He should reopen the gas and oil fields in the North Sea, and then he should... Look what happened, with respect to all of you, look what happened to the Tories in Aberdeen South last week in that by-election. They talked about the impact of not having those fields open, how the Norwegians were doing this, and all the people that lost their jobs, and the Tories got 50% of the vote. The British public are far more switched on than some politicians give them credit for. He could win it. Of course he won't drill, because the left-wing lobby will go, oh, no, what about the Friends of the Earth? And then he won't be able to... The whole thing is, it's standing up. Do you think he'll stand up to Ed Miliband? I don't.
No, but the point on Aberdeen, of course, is that the Tories didn't turn the taps on. This has not just happened in the last 2 years of Labour. Yes, it's been accelerated, or, if you like, cemented in their policy that we won't use our own energy. But the Tories lined all that up themselves. True. It's only Reform that have been very, very clear, always, that we will turn the taps on in the North Sea and we will drill for gas. We could be completely self-sufficient.
What about the economy? Don't you care about the environment, Sarah Poaching? Come on, what if you start drilling? You're going to kill it.
But look, we import these wind turbines. Ed Miliband imports these wind turbines from China. You know, how much does that cost? We import LPG from America. How much is this shipping costing in terms of carbon emissions? The point is, any nation should be energy sufficient, and we could be. And Jeremy, I have one of only 4 remaining refineries in my constituency of Runcorn and Helsby. We've only got 4 refineries left in this country. It's shameful because we turn the taps on. If we're not careful, we're not going to be able to process the oil we get out of the North Sea.
Right, let's have a roundup, OK, because I want to ask you my little test for this morning. Starmer to Tear, see what I did there? He's gone in tears. To be a better family man and a good husband, so good luck to him. I think he'll resign. Burnham, I think, will be uncontested, will be the Prime Minister within a matter of weeks. Let's talk about the top team and see if you agree with the Tice Man and other people. Shabana Mahmood, does she stay or does she go?
Stay.
Yeah, agreed. What's that one called? Oh, yeah, Rachel Reeves, does she stay or does she go?
Absolutely, bin her.
Bin her. Bin her. And who do you think gets the job?
Well, is there anybody competent in the Labour Party that could be Chancellor? I don't think so. And that is a very frightening thing. The most powerful job in government. Who could do it? I can't think of anybody that could do that job.
I can't think of anybody that's tailor-made. But I think he'll give it to Wes Streeting. I thought that the timing of him announcing it 14 nanoseconds after Starmer resigned says they've done a deal. Now, you're going to laugh at me, as I've got somebody and people went, oh, it might be a good shout. I think Yvette Cooper. Yvette, stay or go?
She's just nothing.
Well, I think she goes. And I think that if Burnham's got any brain cells, do you know who he makes Foreign Secretary? The only one with a bit of gravitas in that party, John Healey.
John Healey, he should come back.
Yeah.
You know, the question is, what does he do about defence? It's one of the most pressing issues. But also, listen, Shabana Mahmood, yes, she should stay. She says all the right things, but this Labour Party will never leave the ECHR. In fact, Burnham will take us closer into Europe. If we're not careful in 3 years, we could find ourselves back in Europe, paying them billions of pounds for the privilege, for the pleasure, which actually gains us absolutely nothing. And we will never be any better off with these illegal immigration because this Labour Party will never leave the ECHR.
Also, brilliant, you are amazing. Do you know, it's going to be red hot, Sarah Pochin. It's going to be 40 degrees. None of the trains are working because the tracks are buckled. It's not leaves or wind. Everything's a nightmare. How are you staying cool? That's what we want to know. Are you wrapping yourself in wet towels at night? What's going on?
I'm tempted to stay in my air-conditioned flat and work from here today, to be honest.
Sorry, you've got air conditioning?
I have, and I've got plenty of work to do. I've got a speech to write, for a debate in Parliament next week. So I think I might just stay in the cool.
Honestly, does the MPs care about their constituents just sat in an air-conditioned flat? It's outrageous. Football tonight, Sarah P. What are you doing? Are you watching?
Oh, well, I have to be careful, don't I, with my football comments. But
we're playing Ghana. Are England going to win?
Yes, they will.
Are you going to drink any beer whilst the game is on?
No, I'm strictly rosé.
I knew you would be. Whispering Angel with us. You watch by an absolute mile. Sarah Pochin, thank you so much indeed. Great to get your perspective on everything political that's going on. 0344 419 1000. Still to come. We'll have a check on the sport. Big game tonight. Do that with Sun Sport. This is Lee, though. Morning, Lee.
Morning, Jeremy. Great show as normal. I've got one question. If Andy Burnham is doing the hokey-cokey with the Brexit idea, either he wants to be in or he's going to be out, if he wants to rejoin Brexit, does that mean he's going to follow the same as the EU Parliamentary Commission rules, which they've now started to deport illegals back to their own country? Because that was unanimously voted in the other day in the Parliament. Great show as always. Have a great day. Bye.
Lovely. 0344 499 1000. Your text messages on 87222 will get you on. Chris is in Ottershaw. Morning, Jez. Katie Lamb MP just said that the welfare bill had risen by 20 billion since Starmer came to office, in which case the bill must have been over 300 billion when the Tories were finally booted out. It's no wonder this country is going down the tubes. Jez, he agrees. Could Burnham not create money by scrapping Net Zero and reopening the gas and oil fields, says Chris Baxter. Absolutely. Spence, is that your last name or your first name? Spence. For too many years, all UK governments have to a great degree governed on the principles of their political party's claptrap. They should have been governing with respect to representing the views of the electorate. Oh, Why? That's outrageous. Keith, looking at the front Labour bench during the Burnham swearing in, where were all the ministers? Please tell me they're resigning too. I don't think anyone would shed a tear if they do. Are we going to see the back of Lammy and Reeves? I think you probably will. It's very true, actually. On the front bench, there were no senior ministers. Is that to look good? No idea. 0344 499 1000. Big Mark, he's going to push the sports button now. I'm trying to learn off Doland. Let's get the thing on.
90 minutes in 90 seconds. From The Sun.
Good man. Let's say a very good morning. This is going to be... Jack Ross, a football reporter of The Sun. Fantastic coverage. Morning, Jackie boy.
Morning, Jeremy. How are you?
Oh, you know, I'm over the West Ham thing. So, big game tonight. Back of The Sun. Got you, pick it up. Gaffers do better, rally cry. Tuchel tonight, England, Ghana. How do you... have you fallen into that trap they all have? Oh, England are fantastic. Because I don't think we were very good defensively, but I could be called miserable. What's your thoughts?
No, I'm a bit worried about when that back four comes up against a team that's not made up of 38 and 37-year-olds. I think that could be quite problematic. They did in spells look quite good in that first game, but I think Tuchel's right that they really need to pick it up if they're going to have an impressive run at this tournament. We've seen France really turn it on at times, and Mbappe, Harry Kane sort of had a gauntlet laid down by Messi, Haaland and Mbappe last night as well. So there's a lot for England to prove still, but they did have encouraging spells, I think, in the opening game.
Any changes? Do you think Mark Gay in for either Conser or John Stones? Do you think there'll be changes?
I would have liked to have seen Mark Gay in, and maybe I think Marcus Rashford will probably hope they'll get a start. But from Charlie Wyatt, our England reporter out there, it sounds like that Tuchel's going to stick with the same team and give Gordon another chance, and either John Stones or Ezri Konsa to try and build that partnership. But I think Mark Gay, after the season he's had, can probably feel quite hard done by.
Yeah. I don't understand that. Stones had 86 minutes only in the Premier League this season. Only played 5 times. I don't know. Gay, I thought, was one of the best defenders. I don't know. I agree with giving Gordon another chance. I don't think Madueke will be playing if Saka was injury-free, personally, but he was very good at the start. But for me, the whole of the last game was about Harry Kane dropping deep, paying balls. It looks like Tuchel's built the team around one man, and that man is Harry Kane, to be fair.
Well, it's also the fact that he's got him and Jude Bellingham to work well together. I don't think they played a pass to each other in the last game, I remember reading, but the way they sort of moved together, and when Kane dropped deep and did exactly what we've seen him do for Bayern Munich and fizz those fantastic first-time balls out wide to either Madueke or Anthony Gordon. When Bellingham went through and was leading the line in his place and did such a good job of it, and obviously had the confidence after half-time with that fantastic goal to sort of settle things with Croatia having pulled 2 back. So I think if we can keep those two working as well as they did in the opening game, then they've got a very good chance.
Let's do it then. Jack Rosser, and everything, can I just say, in Sunsport that you need, everything about the World Cup as we build up to England-Ghana tonight from 9. What is your prediction, please, Jack?
3-1. I don't think they'll keep a clean sheet.
3-1. Jack Rosser, football reporter of The Sun. Thank you very much indeed. Don't forget all the action, everything you need to know on our sister station, talkSPORT, live and exclusive coverage on the radio. The only place you get it in the United Kingdom. Make it talkSPORT. England, Ghana tonight. My prediction is 3-0. I think we're going to do well. Interesting to see. We'll cover it all tomorrow. 0344 499 1000. We'll go to the news at 9, and Nigel Evans, former Deputy Speaker, is next on Talk Breakfast.
We've got some breaking news that has just come in. talkSPORT have announced a brand new partnership in a developing story. We hear they've created So Good Lager right in time for football's big summer. Just in, we're hearing that So Good Lager will be pouring pints across all O'Neill's pubs and some of the best sports pubs across the UK. With the big kickoff just around the corner, you can find out where to get your hands on a fresh pint of So Good Lager at talksport.com/lager.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk. Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
There you are, my friends. Welcome back or welcome along. It's just gone 9, hour 4 of breakfast for Tuesday, the 23rd of June. This is the day, well, 25 hours ago, when Keir Starmer tearfully resigned on the steps of 10 Downing Street, saying that the country was, in his mind, in a much better place than it was when he arrived 2 years previously. He said, and I quote, gaslighting, "The economy is stronger, wages have risen, biggest uplift in defence spending, small boat crossings minimised, asylum hotels closing, yes, and you're putting them all in houses so they can run around and attack women, and 500,000 children being lifted out of poverty thanks to breakfast clubs, hurrah!" What he didn't tell you was the unmitigated disaster his premiership has been. Tell that to success, as I've said all morning, to pensioners, armed forces personnel who have been persecuted with that Troubles Bill, which is disgusting. Try that, telling that to the Chagos Islanders who had their island just given away for money. Try telling that to Lucy Connolly, who got 3 years under Herma, right, for hurty words, but then people can carry out the most heinous crimes and sit in a calicane, right? I can't get over this. He murdered 3 people, Barnaby Webber, amongst them his mother was here the other day, and he sat in a secure mental unit getting over £1,000 a month in benefits. No, Starmer, you didn't deal with anything because you didn't have a plan, because you didn't have the guts. I'll give you a compilation of what you achieved, Keir Starmer. Watch this.
Again for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, the return of the sausages. I would like to send my warmest congratulations to President Trump. Of course, I wouldn't want Donald Trump round for dinner. The relationship between our 2 nations has been one of collaboration. I'm anti-Trump, cooperation. But don't underestimate the danger to the world if Trump is re-elected, and enduring partnership. Never happened before. This is unprecedented. I think that just symbolises the strength of the relationship between us. I'm delighted that the inspiring Nobel Peace Nobel Prize winner.
True democracy is citizen-led. We demand a people's house!
This project has always been about fixing the foundations of our country. It must be really incredible to be part of building, I mean, actually here, not just building. Smash the gangs to smash the people smuggling gangs. Could you please join me when I say 5?
That man is not allowed in my pub.
4.
That's assault.
3.
That man is not allowed in my pub.
2.
Get out of my pub. Go on.
1.
Get out of my pub.
Yay! It worked.
Yeah, not like you. Morning, Ian.
Talk. Hi, Jez. It's Ian from East Grinstead. Great show as usual. Just out of interest, you have some royal connections. What must our great Queen have thought about the load of buffoons we've had as PMs coming and going at the rate of knots? You know, all of them not able to do their job, all of them out of their depth, all of them promising great things, and she was seeing her country disintegrate. Since Margaret Thatcher, we've not had a principal politician in place. I think the King is too wet anyway to have an opinion. He's all full of greeny, wishy-washy rubbish. But what must the Queen have thought after going through World War II and meeting people like Churchill?
I was thinking, actually, about what the old man, as I said, if you were listening earlier, would have said about the debacle. And I can share this with you because he's dead. And also, the Queen Mother's dead. I mean, it's a fact. And the Queen, bless her. He told this great story about in the 1970s. Now, I'm going to say about 74 or 75, the Labour Party were in power. And in those days, I think all the way through her reign, what happened with the Queen was a government minister who was relevant to what was going on in the country would come for afternoon tea at Buckingham Palace or Windsor Castle. Have you heard this story, Christian? It's utterly brilliant. And it was one of the worst winters in history. And the Labour MP was made Minister of Snow. That's all, Minister of Snow or Minister of Weather. I think he was called John Smith, not that John Smith, another one. And so he arrived at Buckingham Palace, new tie and shirt and his best suit, and he sat down with the Queen and started talking about weather, Your Majesty. And after about 15 minutes, the Queen went, "Mr. Smith, would you like another cup of tea?" And he said, "Aye, Your Majesty, I'd love another cup." And one of them cakes, she said, "Yes, I noticed your saucer was empty." He'd been pouring his tea into his saucer and drinking it out of his saucer in front of the Queen. That's the sort of story I missed from the old man. Right, 7 minutes past 9, we're live across the UK. Let's say a very good morning to a man who knows all about tradition and has never supped his tea out of a saucer. Former Deputy Speaker of the House of Commons. I bet he wish he was still there after yesterday. Nigel Evans, good morning.
Good morning, and welcome to Strasbourg.
You're in Strasbourg. You're joining the EU. You're Burnham's spy. You're off. By the way, mate, look, live pictures of 10 Downing Street this morning. Cabinet ministers have been in for a meeting. Don't know why, because he's not the Prime Minister, only in name. Just on a serious note, Nige, you've been around. You know, you've seen an awful lot. Numbers of Prime Ministers resign. They always seem to cry. Pretty sensational moments yesterday, certainly for Labour to get rid of a sitting Prime Minister. What was your take on it all?
Predictable and, quite frankly, I love the video that you showed of Keir Starmer. It sort of sums up the 1 and a bit years of him at number 10. People didn't want the Tories in 2024, but they didn't want Labour either. They got 33.7% of the vote. And all he talked about was the mandate he got, and he confused the majority in Parliament with the mandate. He's got no mandate. I can see the door to number 10. I thought they were putting a revolving door number 10. That's what was there under the last administration. But no. And my prediction is that he will be crowned. I don't believe anybody's going to stand against him. I giggled when Wes Streeting issued his statement.
You can't be cynical. It was 14 nanoseconds after the Prime Minister resigned, wasn't it?
Well, I was in the House of Commons on Friday, at a party, and one of the doormen came up to me and he said, I've just had a chat with Wes Streeting and he's ready to go. He's got his 81 signatures. And I looked at him, I said, do you know, I don't think he has, and I don't think he'll be going. And he said, yeah, it could be a double bluff, and that's exactly what it is. All Wes wants is a good job, and he'll get one too, don't you worry.
I mean, what I found really disheartening is not even strong enough words, Nige. What I found so wrong yesterday in this gaslighting speech, he said that the economy was stronger, that wages have risen, that the defence spending was the biggest uplift ever, that small boat crossings are falling, asylum hotels are closing, and lots of kids have gone to a breakfast club. But what he doesn't talk about is the abject failures of letting down pensioners and farmers and waspy women and our servicemen and women, for Christ's sake, and our armed forces in their entirety, and Chagossians and the American... So much that he got beyond wrong. And you know, some people say, oh, you're being a bit harsh, aren't you? Completely and utterly incapable of doing that job. Found out at the highest level, Nigel.
Yeah, and I'm much harder than you. In my blog, nigel.com...
Oh, sorry, hold on. Sorry, at your what?
It's my blog called otherNigel.com.
You haven't invited me on that, have you? You haven't invited me on that.
Well, it's a blog, so I've written it. But I tell you what, Jeremy, I've written all the things that he did wrong. It's probably not comprehensive, but my goodness me, it's pretty lengthy. And it started, and this is my advice to Andy Burnham as well, is that he will be judged in how he starts his administration, which I suspect will be on July the 16th or 17th, whenever the nominations close. He'll be the only one in with a nomination. And just as Starmer was judged on how many freebie goods he took from Lord Ali and how many free football tickets and pop concert tickets and goodness knows what he was taking, at the same time as he was robbing winter payments from poor pensioners. And his administration, and that was done within the first few days, his administration never fully recovered, and he went from bad to worse. And so my one piece of advice to Andy Burnham is to think very carefully how you're going to start your administration. And there's a few things. I know you just asked what the Reform MP about who she would like in and out of this administration. And I would say to him, he will be judged by the friends he keeps in his cabinet. If he brings Angela Rayner back in, huge mistake. Louise Haigh, far too early, huge mistake. And also, get rid of Miliband from that department. I know he's going to keep him somewhere in the cabinet because, of course, Miliband was supporting Burnham. He's not stupid. But get him out of that department where he's obsessed with net zero. And let's start drilling the North Sea as quickly as we possibly can. I mean, there's a ton of things that he ought to be doing. Stop picking on veterans. Actually back our pensioners. Back the pub industry. So take off the employers' national insurance from them and give them support as far as business rates is concerned. She said, stop attacking the veterans. The Chagos Islands ditched that policy of paying Mauritius 30-odd billion to take it off our hands. I mean, that's just absolutely ridiculous.
You've forgotten the most important thing, two of them.
Well, there's Brexit as well. Make a success of Brexit. That's one of the reasons I'm here in Strasbourg, because I voted for Brexit, and I believe that Brexit has been great for Britain, and it could be even better if we look for the Brexit benefits, the Brexit dividends. So just make that happen as well. Stop the boats, of course. That's the other thing that he's got to do. Make sure that we haven't got all these people coming in their thousands, being put up in hotels and houses of multiple occupancy and costing the taxpayer billions. And the other one as well is the two-tier justice and two-tier policing that goes on. I mean, if people tweet things,
absolutely,
for goodness sake, let it go. Absolutely, let it go. I mean, having people put in prison for 30 months when she took that dreadful tweet down, I thought was ludicrous and disproportionate.
I agree with absolutely everything, but I would say this. I agree with you about oil and gas, and for me, he could win very quickly a degree of favourability by cashing in and getting rid of net zero, starting to oil and frack. And we can say all of that, like we can sit here and say, if he's got any semblance of intelligence, he needs to attack the welfare bill. But we all know that the Labour left will not allow him to do that. Starmer couldn't even get 5 billion, right? Which is, it's going up 20 billion a year or something. I mean, the whole thing is ludicrous, OK? Whether, and I'm not, listen, Andy Burnham obviously will get his chance. I don't know where I'm personally, and I've said it about MPs and I've said about governments, there should be a general election. I don't think it's right. Other people will disagree. But I absolutely am telling you that I reckon by Christmas he'll be as unpopular as Starmer, because the Labour Party knows only one way of, well, several ways. They either print money, go hand in cap to the IMF, or they raise taxes. And I don't see how he's going to increase defence spending unless he cuts welfare, and he's not going to cut welfare, so he'll raise taxes. I don't see how he's going to give pay rises to all his mates in the public sector. I just don't see it working, but I could be very, very cynical. I mean, you talked about the makeup of the cabinet, right? Has he got a pair big enough to stand up to Miliband? Because that would be a definite start. Has he? Has this coup worked so well that he can say to Miliband, whose spads he lent him, by the way, whose office he lent him? Miliband's been behind a lot of this, we hear. Is he really going to say do one, or is he going to say, oh, you could be Home Secretary? I don't know. I hope he goes nowhere near being bloody Chancellor. That would terrify me.
No, absolutely. You've got to get rid of Reeves. She has been an absolute disaster. You have got to attack the welfare budget, and also the 16,000 millionaires and billionaires that have left the United Kingdom, taking their money with them, paying absolutely zero tax now when they live in Dubai or Milan or Monaco. Bring them back. Make the economy attractive for them. There's a ton of things that he ought to be doing, and also get rid of Lord Hermer.
Yeah, Hermer.
Poisonous, absolutely poisonous. He's got this one opportunity to really mould his cabinet into something where people go, well, thank goodness we've got some decent people in there. I would actually bring Wes Streeting back in, because he started to make a good job out of the health service. He still had a long way to go. Bring back John Healey, bring back Al Carnes. There are some decent people on the Labour bench.
I think Healey, I said it earlier, I think Healey would be the perfect foreign secretary. I think there's a bit of gravitas about him, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, and then also, and then also ensure that the defence of this country is the #1 priority.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can only do that if the war chest is open and that money is made available for a proper defence of our country and support our armed forces. You know, there are a ton of things that Andy Burnham could be doing, and and of course, the one big thing is that he ought to call an early general election this year. He has no mandate. And the fact that in 2022 he was calling for a general election when Rishi Sunak came in, Angela Rayner was calling for one, David Lammy was calling for one. I think it would be quite absurd. I've listened to Nick Thomas-Symonds on the radio this morning when he was asked about this, and he said, yeah, well, when we were in opposition, it's what oppositions do. Well, now you're in government, you ought to have a moral compass, and that moral compass ought to be telling you that if Andy Burnham deviates one jot away from
I could help Burnham, because my argument would be, and I'm not sticking up for him at all, Nige, there is no manifesto. I don't think anybody in this country has any bloody idea what that manifesto was in terms of what Starmer did, because Starmer went against it within a heartbeat. I'm with you about that. Well, we got live pictures of Downing Street. He's toast. This one, somebody came up to me. This is Peter Kyle, the business. Somebody came up to me. He would?
Yeah, absolutely. Peter Kyle should go. He's been useless. Steve Reed, he should go as well.
Well, somebody came up to me at that party the other night and said, "How's your uncle?" And I went, "What?" Or your nephew or something. And I said, "What are you talking about?" They said, "Peter Kyle." Well, you can say, "What's she talking about?" Lisa Nandy, that's Lisa Nandy. I wonder if she'll save her skin.
She will remain. No, she will remain because she supported Burnham right from the very start, and she's a North West member of Parliament. Listen, we've just got rid of the king of flip-flops, and we've now got the king of the North. And the king of the North has got to spread his abilities throughout the whole of the country, and he will be judged in how he behaves from day one. And if he starts bringing back some of these crooks that have gone from within the cabinet early on, and if he keeps Miliband in the cabinet and does not drill, baby drill, you say he's looking for money, Jeremy. Of course he is. And the North Sea is full of it. Instead of which we are paying taxpayers' money buying the same oil and gas from Norway, who are actually exploiting it from the same fields we would be in the North Sea. It's bonkers.
I just want to ask you two other quick things. Angela Rayner, they think, will come back.
No, absolute disaster if she comes back. Way too early, way too early.
And what about Lou Haig, the one who stole a mobile phone and lied about it, done for fraud? This is true. Have you seen the new bobbed hairstyle and everything? Apparently she ran his campaign and will get one of the big jobs.
If Andy Burnham brings back Angela Rayner and Louise Haig, he will be judged very badly for that. And even if he doesn't call an early election this year, Jeremy, people will remember that he brought these two people back into his cabinet. And they will pay a heavy price for it come 2029 if that's what he's going to do. He might cling on to power longer than Starmer did. You know, you look at Starmer's legacy. He's now leaving 10 Downing Street with the shortest duration of any premiership of any Labour Prime Minister. That is his legacy for this country.
Couple of things before you go. How long are you in Strasbourg? We've got a red amber warning of heat here, Nigel. It's going to be 40 degrees.
Yeah, it's 27 degrees here at the moment, and it is absolutely boiling. I was going to do the interview out on the balcony I've got here, but I was afraid my computer might melt, so I've come indoors.
And you are there as part of the 10th anniversary day, of course, of Brexit. 10 years ago, 23rd of June 2016, our divorce date from the EU hasn't gone exactly well. What are you doing out there?
Well, it's glorious, and I think I'm going to go up to the European Parliament later on and do a little video there, which I'll put on Twitter and annoy hundreds of thousands of people who are still moaning and grieving the fact that 52% of the British people put two fingers up to David Cameron, George Osborne and all the establishment on Britain and the European Union and decided that they wanted the democracy of their country in the United Kingdom. Call me old-fashioned, but I rather like the laws.
You are very old-fashioned. And what does an old-fashioned man on his own in Strasbourg... This doesn't sound like I've set this question right. Are you watching the football tonight, Evans?
Yes, it'll be 10 o'clock here, and I will find a pub, because my TV in the hotel room isn't working. Hey. So I'll find a pub somewhere. And my prediction is England will win 3-0.
Good man. Great to have you on as ever. Enjoy Strasbourg. You're always delighted. We're delighted to have you on the show. Nigel Evans, former Deputy Speaker of the House of Commons and the Conservative MP for 30 years for the Ribble Valley. 9:22. We're live across the UK. Julia Hartley-Brewer here from 10 o'clock. Nigel Farage will be on her show between 10 and 11. Ian Collins from 1 and Kevin O'Sullivan on Drive. Morning, Phil.
Morning, Jeremy. It's Phil from Shropshire. Just imagine what's going to happen when he's on the world stage with his fellow European commissioners and various people from there in their Gucci dresses and Armani suits, and he turns up like a bingo caller from a working men's club. He's going to be a disgrace. What more can I say, Jeremy? What a clown, eh? Great show.
We've got some breaking news that has just come in. talkSPORT have announced a brand new partnership in a developing story. We hear they've created So Good Lager right in time for football's big summer. Just in, we're hearing that So Good Lager will be pouring pints across all O'Neill's pubs and some of the best sports pubs across the UK. With the big kickoff just around the corner, you can find out where to get your hands on a fresh pint of So Good Lager at talksport.com/lager.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, 9:25. We're live across the United Kingdom. Thank you so much indeed. Christian and I were just saying, you really are the angriest bunch, aren't you? 0344 499 1000. Text to 87222. Your voice notes continue streaming in today. Wayne, good morning.
Good morning, Jezza. So, the leadership battle is going to be fake. There's no coronation. Here's why. He ain't ready. Burnham ain't got a clue about what he's going to do. He's just obsessed with getting the job. If no one runs against him, he will be Prime Minister by the 9th of July. Now, if he has a fake contest, that buys him a little bit more time until September. So I'm pretty sure we're going to see a bit of a fake contest going on, because at this moment in time, Andy Burnham is Keir 2.0, and he hasn't got a clue on what he wants, what he thinks, or how the hell he's going to do it. Oh, my gosh, mate.
Sorry, I don't know. I think it is. 9:26. We're live across the UK. 0344 499 1000. Text to 87222. Sorry, somebody was asking me something. I'm having the picture of Maggie way out back on the wall in number 10, as I did hear that twerp removed her. What an ignorant wet wipe. Lee Malin, an ex-Pat. Hello to Steve in Leicestershire. Steve says, don't let the nation forget that Starmer has turned our country's flag into something to be despised, not to be something to be proud of. People are now called racist for flying the England and Union flag. Let's find pride in our flag again. Wayne, yes. Thank you, Wayne. This makes me laugh. So in the old days on drive time, I didn't know this until one of the bosses rang me up one day, one of the big bosses, and said, I'm sat on a tube station platform, and we play Kyle Bingo every day. And I went, what's that? He said, well, when you say a certain phrase, and all I need is one more line from you. Wayne says, yes, I'm calling a line. You said the Queen, your dad's dead, all in one show this morning, so that's fantastic. Dara, good morning. Morning, Jez. Rumour on the street is that David Lamb will be moving to a new job, presenting Mastermind. Love it. Don't tell Miliband you have air conditioning. He will ban it, says Nikki in Slough. Nice. Barry Ward, give the whip back to Diane Abbott so she can be Chancellor of the Exchequer. Oh, my God. Jez, to the tune of the Everly Brothers, bye-bye Starmer. Oh, no, that's the wrong song. Bye-bye Rees, bye-bye Lammy, and bye-bye Hermer. I think I'm going to cry. Bye-bye, bye-bye do one, says Stu in Hales Owen. Starmer says what a great job he's been doing, says another Stuart, the last 2 years. If he was doing such a good job, could I ask why he resigned then? I'm slightly confused. I've tried to send a voice message to say we should give Andy Burnham a chance to prove himself, but I can't manage it without laughing my face off, says Robert Morris. Brilliant. Andy Burnham, talk about the wrath of God. Did last night's massive thunderstorms herald Burnham's arrival, says Amanda in London. No, I think what it was I think the country was cleansing itself of Keir Starmer. Graham's in Hartlepool. Morning, Jez. Everyone is having a strop about Burnham. What people need to realise is the left are finished. This is the Labour Party hanging by their fingernails. The people of this country have been tolerant, as we always are, but the left has been poking us with the proverbial stick, and people have really had enough. I would only say this to you, Graham, genuinely hand on heart. If you thought Starmer was left, you wait till Burnham, because he's only one way of playing the game. 9:30, let's bring on the main man, the man who does, well, he always gets it right. Former Conservative government advisor, James Price. Good morning, JP.
Hello, my dear old thing. It's good to be with you.
Well, it was a very sad day for me yesterday. I told everybody that I was watching my son at 17 try and qualify for the Open Championship. He's that good at golf. But in truth, I was at home crying at the thought of Keir Starmer no longer as Prime Minister, and I found it quite emotional, JP. What about you?
Yeah, the heart absolutely bleeds, doesn't it? It couldn't happen to a nicer, more caring, bolder leader than Sir Keir Starmer, who within weeks of office, let's remember, was having people remanded into custody and tried for mean tweets, and turned up at the scene of a horrific terrorist attack for about 7 seconds before he then toddled off again, thinking he'd done the perfunctory level of his duty of standing there to be photographed. And who'd have thought it only went downhill from there? The heart bleeds.
I mean, that speech, and I know you'll have studied it like I have, was pure gaslighting, and I don't even like the word. I mean, you know, economy stronger, wages risen, you know, uplift in defence spending. He lost his defence secretary 10 days ago, but it was you know, I saw the tears and I thought, well, those tears, wondering how many pensioners cried because they couldn't keep warm last winter, how many waspy women who'd planned so much when they retired because they were promised, how many farmers had wanted to leave their farm to the next generation, how many servicemen and women who got injured or fought for this country are sat wherever they are waiting for a knock on the door from the police, the Chagossian people, the grooming gang victims, no mention of an inquiry, Joe, none of it, and just, I don't know, just to sort of, in cahoots with that odious human being Hermer, just nothing that you can walk away from there and go, well done, mate, nothing.
No, the one thing possibly is the fact that the Labour Party that he inherited, and he inherited it by pretending to be as left-wing and as mad as Jeremy Corbyn, but just in a better fitting suit bought for by Lord Ali. And he did cleanse the Labour Party of, well, the fact that they themselves admitted that they were institutionally anti-Semitic, which in their own words is to be racist. So he did that one good thing, and we should give him the credit for that, because then we don't have to give him credit for anything else. And I do think, although he will be almost entirely forgotten within minutes of him, well, probably already by now, frankly, entirely forgotten, we shouldn't let his legacy be this line that he is a nice, decent man who was just unsuited to the job. Because, as you say, he's not a nice, decent man. Go and tell that to the families of the farmers who killed themselves to make sure that their ancient family farms could still be afforded to be passed on to their children, because that's something he did that raised absolutely no money and was done for spite. He did horrendous things to our constitution. Go and say that to all of the babies who are now, you can be killed at 9 months just before they're born. Go and say that almost to all the grannies out there, because he almost, without any proper scrutiny, allowed assisted suicide to go through with almost no, as I said, no scrutiny at all on a backbench deal, because he promised Esther Ranson, because of course that's apparently now how the British Constitution works. Miss Ranson, by the way, who is making remarkable progress and has lived a much, much longer and more comfortable life than her doctors had originally predicted, just FYI. Again, go and say that to the Chagossians. Go and say that to the people. You mentioned the rape gangs. Let's call them that. That's what they are, not just grooming gangs. He said it would be jumping on a far-right bandwagon at one point. Go and say that. Was he a decent man? No, I think it's a very good thing to see the back of him, even though things may now get worse, because I think it will show to the British public that when Burnham fails after Starmer has failed, that the entire Labour Party is completely bankrupt morally, and now the country is bankrupt economically as well.
I think you're right, and a lot of people have said to me, I mean, they've shared it, but a couple of people have said to me this morning, you know, you need to give Andy Burnham a chance. My problem with Andy Burnham is not the coup. I understand politics. The Tory party did it to themselves. I was with Liz Truss the other day doing that podcast. She was shafted, Johnson was shafted, Rishi Sunak cut his own self off, I think, but more than that, they all cry, they all leave, that's the way it goes. Apart from the temerity of Starmer to even give the impression he thinks we should be grateful for all the things you've quite rightly and accurately described, Burnham, look, good coup, arrives, people are clamouring, look, front page of the Mail, as you know, the Messiah with no mandate. Well, I remember him tweeting and Rayner tweeting, the Tories should hold an election. Now they're saying exactly the same. And when you put that to a Tory, do you know what they say, JP? They go, but there's a difference. Andy Burnham wasn't in Parliament. He was nothing to do with the old administration. Either way, I don't agree. I've said it to you. We can disagree on this. Don't believe anybody should be able to run this country without holding a general election. Of course, he's not going to call a general election because he could lose. But I could tell him something. If I was an advisor right now, now, he could do two things and buy a little bit of favour. He could cancel net zero, have the cojones to say to Miliband, you're toast, mate, and then he should start drilling in the North Sea. Oh, or he could also cut the benefits bill. Yes, that'd be a good idea. So we could actually buy a defence of the realm, none of which is going to get through the Parliamentary Labour Party. Starmer couldn't even get $5 billion off, and Carl Turner can say to me, oh, that's because Keir Starmer wasn't very good with people. They won't buy it, the Labour left, at all. And the only problem is, not even a problem, it's a reality. How's he going to pay for it all? By raising taxes. Bye-bye, Burnham. It's a fact. It's a fact.
You're exactly right. The idea, I saw I think it was my mother-in-law who sent me something that saying, and this is a little bit indelicate, that changing Starmer for changing Burnham is like soiling your trousers and changing your shirt. It doesn't deal with the root cause of the problem, which I think is an excellent line, if rather an unpleasant one for this time of the morning. Because none of the biggest problem was not the fact that Starmer was this deeply unpleasant and callous and uncaring and unpassionate leader, even though he was all of those things. The problem, as you say, is much deeper. It's much more structural. It's the fact that these Labour MPs haven't got a Scooby about reality because most of them have never had a real job. We couldn't cut anything from this absolutely ballooning welfare bill. You've got people who just want to sound nice and charitable, but it's easy to sound nice and charitable when you're spending other people's money.
Yeah.
And I just don't think the British public yet, because we borrow so much, we haven't felt the real economic impacts, the pain that is going to happen to this country at some point. When you borrow money, it's not just like borrowing the credit card you have to pay back at some point. The scale of our borrowing to the bond markets that Andy Burnham says we shouldn't be in hock to anymore is so much that it's going to be our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren who are going to be dealing with this. And every year you don't do it, you compound that the amount of money that you spend, and we now spend a lot more on just servicing those debt interest payments, and that number gets higher and higher every year.
Isn't that 100+ billion a year just paying interest on the debts we've got?
That's exactly right. But every year we borrow more, so that number, just to service the debt, goes up and up and up, as well as the overall amount of debt going up and up and up. And our economic growth isn't doing it. And at the same time, you've got all the left saying, give me the money for the waspy women, give me the money for the benefits of this, give me the money for the guy who can't be bothered to go to work, and all the rest of it. The fact is that we are no longer a rich country, and we need to start acting like that. And we need to prioritise ruthlessly in a more dangerous world. You're exactly right, Jez, that we need to spend more money on defence. And if you've got a Labour Party that doesn't understand how to get economic growth going, it's going to be even more painful. And the problem with socialism, as Mrs. Thatcher once said, is that eventually you run out of other people's money.
I can't see anything but trouble ahead. There might be a foe. Just very quickly, little test we've been doing all morning. Love having you on as ever. Shabana Mahmood, stay or go?
Stay. The only half-decent one they've got.
Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper, stay or go?
Go.
Replacement? For me, it's John Healey. You can laugh. My thoughts.
Yeah, I think that makes as much sense as anything else.
Chancellor of the Exchequer, she's gone. I'm not even having the debate. Who gets the job? Streeting? Has he done a deal?
I mean, probably does, and he's probably the least bad of the bunch. If you want anyone half decent, you've got to go to there's a junior AI minister called Kanishka Narayan, who's actually quite smart. Don't know what he's doing in the Labour Party, probably because he thought it would get him into Parliament quickly. But you have to go to someone like that, and of course they won't do that because no one will know who he is, and he hasn't done weird deals with the trade unions that run the Labour Party.
I think Lou Haig, who's got a conviction for a fraud, is it, or something? I think she... You're laughing. She ran his campaign. The pink hair's gone. We've got the bob now. She could be Chancellor. Lou Haig, the Chancellor. Be great, wouldn't it?
Well,
or
it would
Judge
work,
of
right?
Justice. Yeah, that'll be it. Right? Lou Haig will be Justice Secretary replacing Lammy, and she'll reverse the conviction. Oh, my God, the world's gone nuts.
No, but I mean, being convicted for fraud, for what, nicking a phone, essentially, that's great training for being Chancellor, because you're just putting your hand in everybody else's pocket.
Hey, there's the line. We love you, JP. Thanks for being on. James Price, former Conservative advisor. Love him. Still to come this hour. Lord John Redwood and Isabel Oakeshott. 22 minutes to 10. Sean, good morning.
Morning, Jeremy. Sean and Leicester, please make this make sense to me. The mayor, or the ex-mayor of Manchester, who is not an MP, gets voted in as an MP, and within weeks, the person who used to be a mayor is going to be the Prime Minister of the country. How has that happened? How can you go from being a mayor to the Prime Minister in weeks? Don't get me wrong, I'm chuffed to bits that Starmer the Harmer's gone. I am chuffed to bits he's gone. but make this make sense. Great show as always, mate.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, 20 to 10. It's been a long time. Former Conservative Cabinet Minister, another man who probably should have run this country. Good man as well. Lord John Redwood, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. I'm in good form.
Are you in good form because
Sense.
Starmer's history, or are you in good form because Burnham's taken to London, or are you in good form because we're not celebrating 10 years of Brexit? What is it, John?
Well, I'm very proud of the vote many of us made to get us out of the EU. I just wish we could find a government that would use the freedoms, because there are so many opportunities we haven't taken. But we're already a lot better off because we did save all that money. We are getting trade deals with many parts of the world the EU wouldn't get us trade deals with. And we are now free to make our own laws. And in quite a lot of areas, we haven't adopted a lot of really damaging laws, which we would have had to have taken on board if we'd still been there, which is why our AI and digital industries are doing a bit better than the European ones. But I'm impatient for us to try and catch up with America. And that requires a lot more change using the Brexit freedoms. And it certainly means ditching Starmer's dreadful EU reset. The one good thing I hear is that they've delayed the awful sellout summit, which they were planning. And I do hope Burnham thinks again. But of course, Burnham is now flip-flopping all over the place. He really wanted a big reset like Starmer, but now he represents Makerfield. If he's remembered Makerfield this week, they certainly don't want a big EU reset. They think it will be another cop-out and sellout, already started by Starmer. Why did Starmer give away 12 years of our very valuable fish instead of rebuilding our own fishing industry? Go for growth, Labour. Don't destroy our industries. Why do they want to sign up to even dearer energy with all the carbon taxes and emission taxes on top of the ones we've already got by aligning with Europe? We need cheaper energy, Labour, to go for growth. Does Burnham understand any of that? Would he please flip-flop in a sensible direction?
Bloody hell, John Redwood, you're on one this morning. Firstly, no, I agree. I completely agree. And we haven't got an awful lot of time, but you've seen it all, haven't you? Let's be honest. In your years in power, what did you make of that? I don't use the phrase gaslighting because I don't really understand it, but he managed to list what he saw as some achievements. Patent lies. You know, he said the economy was stronger. No, it isn't. Wages have risen. No, they haven't. A biggest uplift in defence spending. Not at all. Small boat crossings are falling. No, they're not. Asylum hotels are closing. Yeah, they are, and you're putting them in HMOs or let them wander around the streets. Has he been the most, obviously Liz Truss, has he been the most incompetent Labour Prime Minister ever?
I think he's in good position to challenge for that much contested prize. I think Gordon Brown was pretty bad as well because he presided over what he called an international banking crash, which had an awful lot to do with a failure of British regulation on his watch as Chancellor and Prime Minister, and did huge economic damage to the country. This lot are beginning to do quite a lot of economic damage to the country. I mean, their great sheaf of taxes have priced people out of work. They've put many of our young people on permanent dole.
Yep.
They're giving people sick notes for life because that is a way of keeping some of the unemployment figures down. As always with Labour, unemployment rises and they don't know how to grow the economy.
And then their response is, oh, we haven't got enough tax revenue. Let's tax the rich. Let's tax the big companies. That's the way to square the circle. And that just drives rich and talented people away, or it drives them to more expensive legal and tax advisors who then say, well, do less and you'll pay less tax. And it puts off an awful lot of businesses from investing in our country. And I do hope Burnham understands that. I've been reading into what is said to be Manchesterism. And some of that is really scary stuff, because as you rightly said earlier, he'll probably put taxes up on the rich to pay for some of it. But that won't get anywhere near the huge bills they've got in mind. So it's borrow, 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 folks.
But I mean, John, you know this.
Because they'll redefine the borrowing so it keeps within the fiscal rules. Well, if he thinks he'll get away with that, then goodness help us.
I mean, I could not agree more. You're the only person I speak to who's slightly older than me, but the truth is we all remember socialist governments, and the fact is they'll print it or borrow it or raise taxes. With Burnham, what I think is, and I'm sure the coronation's going to be sweet and there'll be a little bit of a bounce. The biggest problem in this country is I still shudder when I say this, that we've got to a point where our benefits bill, what we're paying out for people who can't work, is greater than we are getting in from taxation on working people. That is beyond stupid. And let's be honest, with that Parliamentary Labour Party, Keir Starmer managed, he couldn't even get a 5 billion, which was what, 1-2% at most, cut. I mean, lots of questions for you. Has Burnham got the balls to stand up to Miliband and go, we're done with net zero, it's ridiculous, we're going to start drilling because we've got liquid gold? Is he going to say we're going to frack? Is he going to say we're not going to attack the army and ex-servicemen and women anymore? Has he got any of that? Because in my mind, he'll be in hock to the left-wing MPs who have got him into number 10. That's how I see it. I don't see much difference.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. And I think the acid test is, will he stand up to Miliband? He's certainly got to get him out of the energy department, and he shouldn't put him anywhere near the Treasury. If he wants to keep him on the inside, then maybe he could be Foreign Secretary under strict control. But he must be miles away from all this hugely damaging high tax, emissions trading, carbon taxes, tax profits to death on the North Sea, ban North Sea drilling and development. You know, they want more tax revenue to spend. Well, they could have a tax gusher if they did some of the things you've just been talking about and let us drill for oil and gas offshore and onshore in the United Kingdom. We're probably sitting on an absolute gold mine in gas, and it would be less CO2 as well, because, of course, by importing the stuff in liquefied form, it's 3 times as much CO2, Mr. Miliband, as if you let us get our own gas out of our own North Sea field. It is absolutely crazy. And if Burnham can't say no to that, then he won't get anywhere as Prime Minister at all. There's so much low-hanging fruit. You don't need to take money off pensioners. You need to get people back to work. You need to get our own oil and gas out. You need to reindustrialise by having lower taxes, and then the money will pour in.
God, John, do you know, you're far too sensible. You're like that other one, Ian Duncan Smith. Stop being so sensible. You should have run the country. Mate, great to have you on. Thank you so much indeed. Lord John Redwood. Sharon, good morning.
Morning, Jez. How do these people, Keir Starmer and the likes, get away with doing what they do to the country and then walking away into the sunset, hand in hand with his wife and his children and a nice pension and probably living in another country, because he'll not be able to go anywhere in this country without being called you-know-what?
Lovely, love. I love it. A nice northern accent. Brilliant, bless her. She's absolutely spot on. Thank you, Sharon. The final guest of the morning, undoubtedly the best, by Mary Mark. Good morning to Talk's international editor, Isabel Oakeshott. Hello.
Good morning. We won't call Keir Starmer a you-know-what-er, will we?
No, we won't. And we were very polite the other night at the drinks party. We didn't drink anything. We were very well behaved.
Yeah, about that, Jeremy. About that. Less said the better, I'd say.
What are you saying, Oakeshott?
I'm saying it was a party and some people were having a rather good time, weren't they?
Well, I had a couple, Oakeshott, didn't we? A couple.
He was merry, listeners.
At least I didn't give you COVID like I did 2 Christmases ago. Hey?
No, that's true, yeah. Grateful for small mercies.
I literally had Richard on at 7. I think they make me laugh, the listeners, bless them. They're so invested in this. The hypocrisy of Keir Starmer to even pretend to try and gaslight us yesterday as he resigned in tears and got his comeuppance. It's extraordinary, isn't it? Because he's betrayed, Isabel, so many different parts of our society.
I mean, the list of his achievements was comical, wasn't it? I mean, I think so many of our listeners will have just been sitting there with their head in their hands going, is this guy for real? I mean, he kind of underlined why he had to go, because he's just in a completely different universe to the rest of us, having the temerity to kind of pay tribute to his own record on defence when his own defence secretary left 2 weeks ago because he isn't investing properly in defence, and so on and so on and so on. But he's a goner, that's it. And I think that Burnham will be in sooner than later.
Yeah, they're saying that if there is a no contest, he could be Prime Minister by 16th or 17th. We thought it was quite interesting timing that almost by the nanosecond, old Wes Streeting said, I'll row in behind him. Almost instantly, the Starmer resigned. So he's obviously been offered a top job, hasn't he? A deal has been done.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is, but I imagine it's going to be a big job, hasn't it? I mean, I can't see quite that he's the right fit for Chancellor, but maybe he's been offered, for example, Foreign Secretary.
I thought Healy might. You'll laugh at me. I thought Healy might get that. I think that, I mean, actually, interestingly, John Redwood just said that he could see Ed Miliband, Jesus, being sent out abroad without his fingers on the pie of energy. Either way, the truth is about Burnham. Somebody said to me earlier on the Labour side, he's a bit like Carl Turner. He's a bit like Boris Johnson from the Labour Party, that he looks good and sounds good and people follow him, but actually when you scrape underneath the surface, you're in for trouble, because how's he going to deal with all the things that he's promising? How's he going to pay for everything that needs paying for? The only way he can do it, Isabel, you know this and I do this, is raising taxes. And he's not going to do that. Well, he'll do that. He's not going to cut the welfare bill, is he? He's not going to do the sensible thing because the Parliamentary Labour Party wouldn't let him.
So there will be a bit of a bounce in the polls, I'm sure, for Labour. But to everybody that is sitting at home thinking, oh, my God, does this mean that, you know, Labour's going to get all popular again and we won't get a very different type of government at the next election, whenever that may be? I just have some reassurance for them, because the bottom line is Burnham is not going to correct or even go a long way addressing the fundamental things that are upsetting people so much at the moment. And they, one is the state of the immigration system, still the continuing mass influx of undocumented, mainly males, across the Channel. And the last few days, while we've all been very distracted with the Westminster Circle, hundreds more have come over, including a woman who tragically lost her life in the Channel. So that's still all going on. And as we all know, that's only the tip of the iceberg of illegal immigration anyway. Burnham's not interested in that. The small boats will keep coming.
Well, hold on. Can I jump in actually quickly and say, Christian just made a really good point. You're right entirely about a bounce. Boris Johnson, the crossings went up, and at the beginning he was popular and that didn't matter, did it?
Well, I mean, I think what I'm saying is that a bounce will be very short-lived. Now, one genius thing that Burnham could do would be to stop the boats. If he did that, my God, you know, they would have a proper uplift in the polls. It would be a huge symbolic thing to do. But I don't think he's got it in him. I don't think that's who he is. I don't think it's what he believes anyway. And then the second thing is the massive bloating of the welfare state. Absolutely. And how angry hardworking Brits are to see so many people taking the mickey. Alongside those who really deserve benefits are far too many who are taking advantage. And the cost of the welfare state is completely unsustainable. But I don't think he's going to address that. And so where do we go to from there? We go to an autumn of another swathe of punishing tax rises on alarm clock Brits, on hardworking people. And this country is only going to get angrier. I don't want it to get angrier. You know, none of us want that. Great Britain needs to be Great Britain, not angry, sad, divided, frustrated Britain. And I think at least Burnham, you know, personality-wise, I've written about him in today's Telegraph. He's a nice guy. He's very sincere, and I think he won't wind voters up in the way that Starmer did. I would be surprised if I hear him saying, far-right thugs. If he says that, I'd be super disappointed, because I think he's a little bit better than that. But that is not enough. As I've written today, that is not enough. It's not a qualification for leadership just to be good at connecting with people. We need something so much more than that right now.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, you couldn't put it any better. We've got some breaking news you can respond to quickly. Nicola Sturgeon's estranged husband and former chief exec of the SNP, Peter Murrell, has just now been jailed for 5 years and 3 months for embezzling more than 400 grand in party funds. That's breaking news, Isabel. 5 years and 3 months. But Nicola Sturgeon didn't know anything. She didn't.
You know what? To some extent, he's got away lightly there. You know, look at what Lucy Connolly got for a tweet. What he did was truly appalling. And I know it's white-collar crime, so-called white-collar crime. I suppose we don't hear people using that expression anymore. In a sense, you know, did it have any victims? Was anyone actually hurt? Well, what about all those people that were donating little sums of money to the SNP for a cause they truly believed in? And actually, Peter Murrell was using it to buy frying pans and, you know, hundreds of pounds worth of pepper pots. It's a pretty awful thing to do. I think the guy must have some pretty serious psychological problems, but he's going to do some proper jail time by the sounds of it. And what a hell of a story that is. It's extraordinary, isn't it?
It is indeed. Isabel, I'd love... we must get you on later of the week, much more, but brilliant about Burnham. Completely and utterly agree, and thank you so much indeed. As ever, brilliant. Our Talk International editor, Isabel Oakeshott, almost... what is it? It's almost 10 o'clock. Julia from 10, of course, Nigel Farage on the show after 10 o'clock this morning with Julia, Ian Collins from 1, and Kev O'Sullivan sounding fantastic on Drive this afternoon from 4 p.m. That's how you line up on the home of common sense. This is Talk.
What they're ashamed of is the English flag. Scottish flag, fine. Welsh flag, fine. Irish, everything like that's marvellous. But no. We can't be English. And this has been going on for a long, long time.
He would be Prime Minister of the most toxic political brand in the country at the moment, which is Labour. And that is what we will be battling against.
Our Prime Minister is allegedly attacked by another nation and nothing is said.
This is a reminder that Russia regards the United Kingdom as a hostile power.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Almost 10 o'clock, and we say a very good morning to the First Lady of Talk, Julia Hartley-Browne.
A very, very good morning to you.
Are you depressed as I am? I mean, poor old kid.
Oh, I mean, what an honourable man, and didn't he just go before he was pushed? Genuinely, the nonsense has been talked. That said, I have to say, I did think this whole, he's not the Messiah, or he isn't. He's a very naughty boy, Andy Burnham. That selfie in Westminster Hall, I thought was rubbing it in a little bit.
I think what somebody said to me earlier, I think is genius. He is Boris Johnson. He's Labour Party's Boris Johnson. There'll be a bounce. There'll be something.
Yeah, he's Boris Johnson again. Very successful Metro Mayor.
Yeah.
Yeah, charisma. Yeah. What happened to Boris Johnson after 2 years?
He found out to be a complete lie.
Didn't
with
do
nothing
detail.
inside.
Didn't believe in anything. And we are in exactly the same territory. I don't doubt it at all. We're going to be talking about him with lots of top guests, inclling Nigel Farage at the top of the hour. Of course, key day today.
Is he at the top of the hour, is he?
Yes, it is the 10th anniversary of the day we voted for Brexit. The real joy was actually tomorrow morning, waking up and finding out that it actually happened.
And what a nightmare that turned into, because we haven't actually done it properly.
We haven't.
Starting with Johnson.
We've done it